This is Papa Smurf. You're listening to Our Lifestyle, the podcast, with ODB and the Mayor.
Yo, you're listening to Our Lifestyle, the podcast, also known as OLP. OLP covers a wide range of topics, with the core being the mini truck scene, BMX, skateboarding, hip-hop, culture, 80s, 90s, you name it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our weekly podcast. Make sure you subscribe via your favorite podcast app and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is Jason ODB, and I approve this message. Our Lifestyle, the podcast, is brought to you by Custom Car Show Productions, which includes these annual shows: Orange Beach Invasion, March in Orange Beach, Alabama at the Wharf; Scrapin the Coast, mid to late June in Biloxi, Mississippi; Sicknick, August in Gonzales, Baton Rouge, Louisiana at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center; Bayou Showdown, mid-November in Slidell, Louisiana. Each of these shows can be found on Instagram and Facebook. Get out there and support the scene. Also, Sparkles Detail, which holds their annual Lowdown show in Homestead Hollow in mid-June each year. Have the clean team that supports the scene detail your ride at the events they attend nationwide. SparklesDetail.com or at Sparkles Detail on Instagram. Make sure you tell them Our Lifestyle, the podcast, sent you. Enjoy this episode. Yo, it's Our Lifestyle, the podcast, episode 133, The Awakening. We got a lot to talk about on this episode. I'm going to do the solo intro with a guest host when we talk about Scrapin the Coast 2019. Damien Davis will join me. Miggity Mike the Mayor is doing some family stuff over in the Orlando area with his daughter and the whole college stuff they're going through. So big ups to Ashley and the whole the Mayor family, if you will. So they're taking care of business. Now, this episode, as I mentioned, not only are we going to talk about Scrapin the Coast wrap-up, there's a lot to digest there. Damien will kind of help us through that. I heard some cool stories from there. I mentioned that on the IGTV video I posted earlier this week, and just really want to kind of do a good solid wrap-up on it. And Damien will help us again. Damien Davis, he helps All Time Low magazine. Real good dude. You guys heard from him recently. And, oh, by the way, he has a badass crew cab mini that is also on pre-order right now with HammerDWeekendWear. So visit HAMMERD weekendwear.com. Get in on that pre-order, and that will save you a couple of dollars. There's also a fire truck shirt, so you want to check that out. It is straight fire emoji. Now, also, we've got Justin from Relaxin in the Northwest, which is The Awakening. Now, that show is about a month away, but we want to give the listeners, sometimes the listeners are maybe a week or so behind, and that's fine. We want to give you plenty of time to plan to get to that show. First and foremost, you want to follow Relaxin in the NW on Instagram. That's important because you want to support the scene, and that might only be, if you can't make it to the show, at least follow them. Look them up on Facebook as well. Mention that you're interested in going. That way you'll get the updates from the show. But Relaxin in the Northwest is a show that's up in Oregon. You guys have heard some of the advertisements and us talking about it. But we love bringing on the show promoters or the key people tied to that show to give you the first-hand account of what's going to go down at said show. So, Relaxin in the Northwest, The Awakening, it's going down in about a month. So more on this episode. Now, the last episode was titled Scrapin the Coast. As I remind everyone, even though, don't let the titles of the episodes be a judge to, am I going to listen or not? As you guys know, a lot of times we'll talk for 45 minutes or an hour sometimes on scene updates, general updates, podcast updates, so many good things, and you don't want to miss out on that content. So, you heard from Greg Miller. We also talked to Justin from East Tennessee Showdown. So not only did you get a chance to hear about the show that was coming up that weekend, which was Scrapin the Coast, oh, by the way, Mrs. ODB, Maddie, my wife, and I are leaving on Friday morning super early to head up to East Tennessee Showdown. So you got a chance to hear from Justin Wyatt, and he talked a little bit about what to expect. Now, I would remind everyone, if you're a mini trucker, maybe you're a few hours away, get up early, head over there. I'm driving 10 and a half hours. We're actually going to stop at Graphic Disorder first. If all works out and everything stays on schedule, we'll pick up our new shirts. The Down with OLP, we'll have those on sale at the show. And then we'll cruise on over after we leave Graphic Disorder over to the area where the hotel's at. And then, of course, Saturday morning, we'll be there bright and early, set up in the OLP booth at East Tennessee Showdown. So looking forward to that. Now, general updates brought to you by HammerDWeekendWear. So again, visit HammerDWeekendWear.com, order some merchandise, stickers, koozies, you name it, add OLP into the notes. That way, Rickety Ron Perkins knows that you're down with OLP, and HDWW, which is the short for Hammered Weekend Wear. So, with this just being me, my little intro deal, my main update is I've been working on the 64 Lincoln. And you guys know when you get focused on a project, whether it's a remodel of a home, or you're putting a pool in, or you're building the car, you know, you kind of get that focus, right? And I've had that tunnel vision for a while. I've been working with some various companies to try to work some deals, and really excited about the car. What I basically hinted at recently is I spent some time, spent some cash as well, getting all of the convertible parts, which in the trunk of those cars is often referred to as the full hydraulic upgrade. Now, in 64 and above, they did have the Type F transmission fluid in the system. So 61, 2, and 3, you had to do that upgrade to get rid of that fluid they used prior. But basically, it's a full hydraulic upgrade is what they refer to it as. It's 5 new hoses. One's a short one. You got 4 long hoses. You got a pump, which is a high-volume pump. Then you have 4 cylinders, 2 deck lid cylinders, and 2 top cylinders. And then 3 solenoids. But, you know, it's been a lot of work. After you get all that swapped, then you got to bleed the system. And then at that point, once the motor is installed in the car and I got power back fully to the car, what I'll do is I'll hook up the final 2 cylinders for the deck lid. That way I can close it. And then if all the switches are working as they did last year, the top will open flawlessly. Deck lid will come up. The flapper, which is referred to, will kind of tuck back under the deck lid. The top will come up, will actually unlatch itself. It'll come up, go into the trunk. Once it's fully in the trunk, then the deck lid comes down, and boom, top's down. So I've been working on that. If you're interested, even if you don't own one of these cars, go out and search Lincoln Addict on your favorite podcast app, whether that be Podbean, Google Play Music, Google Podcast, or Apple Podcasts. Also, I've been uploading videos on Lincoln Addict YouTube page. So it's been pretty fun. I've been trying to document with the GoPro as I go along, and sharing some of those videos out there on YouTube. So go out there and subscribe. Now, I'll also be doing some video work at East Tennessee Showdown, so make sure you subscribe to our Lifestyle the Podcast on YouTube. If you want to follow more about the car, you could tap on the hashtag on my Lincoln Addict Instagram, Project Smugglers Blues. You can follow that hashtag. And then in your main feed, as I post new photos, those will kind of be curated into your feed. So go out there, check it out. It's a cool car. I'm really stoked about it, and I'm working on it every day. Even if it's only something really small I can do, I go out there and do it. Now, also 1 year ago last week was when I flew out, got up super early that Thursday before Scrapin. I flew to Dallas, got in a rental car, drove to Midlow, which is technically Midlothian, I think is how you say it, but the locals call it Midlow. And there's a BMX track there called Texplex. It's more of a, I'd say more of a venue. They have a place there you could stay and have like weddings and these different events. And then the Texplex side of it, for those that listened to that episode a year ago, you guys might recall that's where they build like BMX courses, they build motocross stuff, and they got bulldozers, and they basically, set up for these events. And I went there for the Hell Track 2018 event. So it was kind of for like the rad movie super fans, if you will. Now, I had missed the 25th anniversary that was took place up in the Cochrane area in Canada. That's where the movie was primarily filmed. And, there was a website. I think the website is down, but it was, really dedicated to the rad movie, and it had a lot of information, especially about the 25th anniversary. Well, I had toyed around with the idea going up there, and I was like, man, with everything else going on, it just didn't work out. So when the Hell Track event came up, and I'm like, damn, man, this is in Dallas. It's not as far. I was like, boom, I got to do it. So I just want to remind everyone what a great time I had about a year ago going to Midlow. I spent the entire Thursday, and luckily, fingers crossed for me, that was the VIP event day. So it was like prior to the main Friday, Saturday, Sunday extravaganza. And it worked out great because by the time I got there, I had lunch, spent from, I don't know what time I got there. It must have been like around 12:30ish. I'm going by memory. And then I stayed all the way until 9 o'clock at night-ish when I peeled out of there in the rental. And then I drove overnight solo to Scrapin the Coast. And basically, I thought about it the other day. I think I was like over 40 hours with no sleep, probably more like 48 or 50 hours no sleep. And I had not really done that since 2012 when I debuted Bada Bing, when Maddie and I went up to Big Body's Custom Interiors in Tennessee, and I was up well over 50 hours straight. So it was really cool. I had a lot of adrenaline going, and I say that because now that I'm getting into the video editing side of things, I will soon take the photos and some of the video that I've never shown, and I'll put together a video for our Lifestyle the Podcast YouTube page. And what my goal is to kind of call it something like My Rad Hell Track Experience or something to that effect, which is kind of a play off of Bill Allen's book, My Rad Career, which is a cool book if you're a fan of the rad movie. Go out there and check it out. But it was a great experience, and it was funny because we were on our family vacation this year, and I started thinking about it that week. I knew it was a year prior. With Scrapin the Coast coming up, it's kind of in my head, and it just got me thinking about how much time or how much good times I had, and then, oh, by the way, how fast time flies, because before you knew it, 365 days had flown by, and I'm like, damn, where has time gone? So, again, Hell Track, love the 1986 cult classic Rad, as you guys know. Our 2.0 logo is based upon that, and just want to kind of talk about it a little bit. So, more to come on the overall video and pictures I took, and I'll put something together probably over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Okay, now I'm going to throw this one under the general updates. I thought it was pretty cool. You guys know we've had Anthony from SSBB_media on a couple times. Real good dude, a lot of energy, big passion for custom cars, trucks, you name it. He even has a mini truck now. What was cool is earlier this week, he had hit me up and he goes, yo, man, this guy had hit me up and he's a listener on the podcast. And, he doesn't have a huge following. He's probably new to Instagram. But what was awesome was he mentioned that he had an SSBB tattoo on his hand. And they kind of exchanged some words back and forth, kind of joking around and talking about SSBB, what it actually meant and, why he had it on there and whatnot. But he's a real passionate dude about cars, trucks, everything like that. So check him out. Let him know that you heard it on our Lifestyle the Podcast. It's full size, FULLSIZE_funk, which I love that, man. Love some G-funk. But full size _funk. And go out there and show the dude some love. And I thought it was pretty cool that when someone listens and they hear something we talk about and they go and they act upon it. Maybe he was like, oh, damn, SSBB. Went out there, followed Anthony, and then they started chatting. So good shit, man. Love doing this podcast and love kind of connecting people, stories, all of that. So good shit. All right, podcast updates brought to you by the West Coast Influence. It's real simple, folks. Go to minitruckfilm.com, order some swag. Now, I know I've mentioned having Radar on. Just got to sync up and kind of get my schedule aligned, and then I'll make sure that I do get him on. It's pretty simple. You can also go on Instagram and type in the West Coast, and then you'll see it come up. Influence, right? Tap on that. They have about almost 44,000 followers on that page. You can click the link right there. And they also have a link, which you might have to type it into YouTube. But they post some really cool stuff, and I love that they don't post a lot. They just post just enough to give you your daily, weekly dose of mini truck badass shit. Like the last photo that they posted was at I think a Nissan 620 it was. And looks like Radar standing in the photo, and they posted that, I think, on June 20th to pay homage to the 620. So pretty cool tie-in. Love that truck that they posted, by the way. Now, the Down with OLP shirts, those shirts went into pre-order. We had solid numbers, and we appreciate everyone ordering. We also had the spin-off of the shirt into the sticker. So if you did a pre-order, you will receive one free sticker. And those shirts are on target to print this Friday. And what that means is Johnson City, where Graphic Disorder is located, is not that far from Piney Flats, Tennessee. So it's like, why not scoop them up, slap hands with Brant and team, whoever's there on Friday, and then biggity boom, jump over to East Tennessee Showdown. So we are super stoked. We're going to scoop those up. We'll have those shirts, if all goes well, for sale at the show this weekend. Additionally, we did recently refresh our website. If you type in ourlifestylepodcast.com, you'll land there. Just know that if you're looking for our store to buy merchandise, you can go to ourlifestylepodcast.com. Right in the top there's various links across the middle. Click on Shop Here, and then tap on where we have the hyperlink to our Big Cartel site. You can also type in ourlifestylepodcast.bigcartel.com or click the link in our Instagram bio, whichever is easier. But go out there, order some merchandise, and also check out the refreshed website, which again is just a little bit more visual appealing to those. And then we did list now our followers on the right side. We have a pretty good amount of followers just through Podbean, and that's fantastic because through Podbean you can interact with us, you can comment, you can do a like. You can also go back to the very beginning of the podcast, whereas some of these other podcast apps will only let you go back so many episodes. So go out there and check out the new refresh site. Now, 2 additional podcast updates. One, we're working on episode 134. So we typically are working on a couple at a time, although we do have a schedule where we start to pencil in names. Now, the list has grown over time, but we've also knocked some names off the list. And one of these guests that I'm really looking forward to speaking with, and hopefully, if everything aligns, we'll have this gentleman either on the next episode, which is 134 or 135, depending on how we slice and dice it. John Tondro, Tondro. Now, the best way I can explain this is Ruben kind of hooked us up with this guest, and if you look up John Tondro on Facebook, you'll see where it says owner at Rogue Engineering, former mechanic fabricator at Penhall Fabrication, former co-driver navigator at Strobel Motorsports, and then former owner at the famed Stage 1 Customs. Now, he worked he had Stage 1 Customs, and he worked with Sean Mahaney. He also is inducted into the Hall of Fame the same year that Ruben got inducted in. So, pretty cool stuff. I don't want to give away the whole story there, but there's some awesome stuff out there for us to talk about, and it's another guest that I wanted to kind of give everyone a heads up that we're going to have on soon. So really, the next few guests, other than this episode, We're looking at having John Tondro on. We're also looking at having, hopefully, Jamie Starling in the very near future. And then Tim, who was at Trendsetter back in the day as well. So, we got some awesome guests lined up, and it's great that we can kind of sprinkle those in. Really, the second half of 2019, I do expect to be pretty heavy hitting, where, we have an awesome amount of guests on, and we really bring back some cool stories, and we talk about kind of the future of where the truck scene is going. Now, we've got the scene updates brought to you by Sparkles Detail and Custom Car Show Productions. You heard the advertisement at the top. Custom Car Show Productions includes Orange Beach Invasion, Scrapin the Coast, which that just concluded, then Sick Nick, and then, oh, by the way, Bayou Showdown. So more to come on those great shows. So we're super stoked that All Time Low magazine has been submitted to print, and we're expecting that to come in any day now and be shipped out. I know it's going to be an awesome issue, and I'm really stoked for the people that put in so much time to make this magazine happen. I know Rich and Beth really spend a lot of time with it. There's a lot of contributors, kind of freelancers, if you will. Now, I will tell you, I mentioned the Carrie Iacino written interview. Now, we weren't able to make that happen for this issue, so we're going to come back on the next issue and have that, and then we're lining up some of the guests for the future written interviews. I do want to hear from the Airhead Nation, so I will still make that post out there in our group, and if you guys have any ideas, let us know. Now, keep in mind, there's 6 issues now per year, so there's really limited opportunity. We got to do a real good job of hand selecting those individuals. The only other scene update that I wanted to share was Jason Barba, and hopefully I'm saying his name right? I think I've gotten as close as I'm going to get it. But Jason, as you guys know, who's behind Relaxin in the Park St. Louis, he had a pretty cool post back on June 21st, and he said, well, that's not a bad start to the weekend. He mentioned or showed a screenshot of an email that he received from Hot Wheels, and it said, congratulations, you have been accepted to display your vehicle at the Hot Wheels Legends Tour St. Louis later in the month of July. So very cool. His S10 is so nice. It's so simple as the way he explained it to me when I was up at his place in the month of May. And it's rocking the airlift performance, air suspension, which I love. It also is just so clean with the bed liner. So many awesome little aspects of the truck. It runs great. He drives it. He takes it to shows. So big ups to the homie. Get out there. Search for him on Facebook. It's Jason. And then his last name's simple. It's Barb, B-A-R-B, A-G-L-I-A, or Baglia, B-A-R-B-A-G-L-I-A, however you want to break it down. But good deal, a good homie right there. Okay, next, what's hot on social media? This is brought to you by our friends at GarageGearClothing.com. This brand is an awesome brand. Just know that if you go to GarageGearClothing.com now, there are a few new shirts that they put up there. I know a lot of guys are into those side-by-sides. They have a new shirt with a side-by-side on it. Really love how they're thinking outside the box and coming up with cool product. Go out there. When you place an order, enter OLP into the notes. You never know, they might throw something in for you. Real deal, Holyfield. So, I saw this one earlier today. Kind of weird. I'm like, don't know what to take of it. But it kind of falls under the entertainment side. Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul tweeted out a pic of 2 donkeys with the caption, soon. Now, this sent Breaking Bad fans into a frenzy. If you guys know their names, Bryan Cranston, Aaron Paul, they're from the hit show Breaking Bad, which obviously show has concluded. Many of us loved it. If you've never watched it, trust me, I don't watch a lot of TV or video or Netflix, but you got to get out there and watch this one. Get through the first episode. You will love the series. It is epic. So, it sent fans into a frenzy over a possible Breaking Bad comeback. Well, some fans on Twitter, I noticed, are speculating that there's a sequel film to Breaking Bad. We shall see, but the series is that epic. I know if there's a movie that they make, I want to see it. It's going to be badass. Also, I did want to mention, now that just sparked my memory, if you get a chance and you're a Sopranos fan, go out there and on Twitter follow the Sopranos Club altogether. They tweet some pretty cool stuff. They got almost 28,000 followers. They did recently post that the principal photography had concluded for the Sopranos movie. Yes, there is going to be a movie. On June 16th, they said the shoot has finished. Release date is September 2020. And if I remember correctly, it's called The Many Saints of Newark. Now, it's going to be a prequel, and I'm really looking forward to that. So, big ups. There's a lot of information out there if you just Google Soprano Newark or Sopranos movie, that type of thing. But I did want to throw that out there. You guys know I'm a junkie for the Sopranos. That, in part, is why the name Bada Bing for the S10 is named the Bada Bing. As Tony once said, famously, never disrespect the Bing. And I totally agree. Okay, the show schedule, it's pretty simple. I'm going to cover a few key items here. Mike and I usually hit this one pretty hard, but you guys know Scrapin the Coast. I'm getting ready. We'll pipe in the audio from Damien Davis, so we'll do that wrap-up. East Tennessee Showdown is this weekend. Do not sleep on it. If you're in the area, get out there. Follow East TN Showdown on Instagram. Also, a month later is Relaxin in the Northwest, which is called The Awakening. July 25th through the 28th at the Oregon State Fairgrounds in Salem, Oregon. Yes, you're going to hear from Justin here shortly. He'll talk all about it. All right. And then, so, like I said, you're going to hear from Justin to talk about The Awakening. And then next, really on our radar, so to speak, is a couple of weeks later, the Spark Show is August 9th. Now, we're going to do some audio soon with Adam Tripp, and we'll get this baked in. But I wanted to kind of kick off and just say, look, here's the key information. It's a 6th annual show, which is the Spark Show, and it's August 9th through the 11th. It's held at the Sevier County Fairgrounds, and I hope I'm saying that right. It's I think it's Sevierville, Tennessee, is how you say it. The pre-registration is open until July 31st. It's $25 via PayPal. You just PayPal to Sparks at the cafe at gmail.com. So it's sparks at the cafe altogether at gmail.com. Registration day of show is $35. Spectators are $5. Kids are free. Now, they are sponsored by Drop 'Em Wear, Sparkles Detail, Appalachian Express with support from All Time Low magazine, The Tin Shop Paint Shop, Madhouse Designs Pinstriping. Food will be provided by Stella's Tacos and Borgasm Barbecue, I think is how you pronounce it. So, tacos, barbecue, sign me up. Now, vendors at the site are slated to be Low Label, Mini Truckers Union, Welch's Chop Shop, Good Dude, if you need trophies, hit them up, FX Customs with a Z, hashtag Mini Movement, Grip, Energy Drink, and many more. Now, they are accepting donations at the Tall Man Toy Vendor booth for Funko Pops to be donated to East Tennessee Children's Hospital via Pops for Patients. Now, Pops for Patients is a nonprofit organization that will accept kid-friendly Funko Pops to be. Now, the host hotel is the Econo Lodge, Sevierville on Dunn Parkway. You can Google that to get their number. There will be awards such as Top 40 and then 20 specialty awards. The awards are made by the talented people in the scene at Coker's Rod Shop, T-Card Productions, and Welch's Chop Shop. Limbo competition, Biggity Boom, and then Show Games is hosted by our good friend Michelle Boone. Now, there is a pre-party Friday night, including street tacos provided by Stella Tacos, cornhole tournament, music by DJ Big Papa, all hosted by Relaxed Atmosphere. Now, there is a gentleman's race Saturday evening at the NASCAR Speed Park at 8 p.m. Mafia-style attire is suggested. I love it. $24 for the unlimited race night. Get you in the tournament race, as well as the other activities that evening from rock wall to video games and more. Now, show coverage is All Time Low magazine, you already know. Underground magazine, Logan Wade Photography, Street Trucks Magazine, MKH Photography, and GageMagazine.com. So get out there, support the scene, show him some love. You need to follow him on Instagram. Just type in The Sparks Show and get on Google Maps. Take a look. See how far is it for you guys. Head up there early on a Friday. Chill out. Have a good time Friday night. Go to the show Saturday, Sunday. It will be epic. So big ups to Adam Tripp and the whole team that's helping out. Real good people. You want to get out there and support them. Now, in these next couple episodes, we're going to talk a little bit more about Sicknick. Down for Dennis is coming up. Bayou Showdown, Lone Star Throwdown 2020, and then Mini Truck Showdown. That's also in 2020. So let's roll into our sponsors. Then we'll talk to Justin Wyatt. And then I do have additional updates that I'll share, which are industry, culture, entertainment, movies, music, tech, gaming, and my closing thought for this episode. So sit back, relax, don't go anywhere, and keep the pedal stomped, keep the volume high with our Lifestyle the Podcast. But first, sponsors. This is brought to you by Feltham Fabrication and SSBB Media. So we got All Time Low magazine. You guys already know. Staying on the rise. HammerDWeekendWear. Get out there and pre-order those 2 new shirts. Also, meant to mention this, Riggedy Ron Perkins is on this episode as well. He'll talk about those shirts. Custom Car Show Productions, which includes Scrapin the Coast. We'll talk to Damien about that on this episode as well. Lone Star Throwdown, West Coast Influence, Garage Gear Clothing, Sparkles Detail, the clean team that supports the scene. And then Feltham Fabrication. Check them out for all your custom painted needs, including Yetis, tumblers, awards, surfboards, you name it. He's been doing it all. So big ups to our sponsors. Thank you so much. So first up, we got Damien Davis from All Time Low magazine to talk a little bit about his time at Scrapin the Coast this year for 2019. I've got some additional updates, as I mentioned, that I'll cover. We'll roll into Riggedy Ron Perkins at HammerDWeekendWear. And then we'll round it out with Mr. Justin Rainwater to talk about the title of this episode, The Awakening. You're not going to want to miss it. Get out there if you can. Support the scene. Make it up to Oregon next month. Can't wait. Stay tuned. We got action-packed interviews and additional updates coming at you guys. We at you. Stay on the rise. Hey, and as I mentioned, we got first up here, you got Mr. Damien Davis. He was boots on the ground at Scrapin the Coast. But first up, man, how's it going, Damien?
Man, it's going awesome. Feeling a little bit of whiplash right now. Just got back from Scrapin the Coast, getting ready to head up another show this weekend. So just getting myself ready to go.
You're one of those mini truckers that just does not stop, man. I love it.
I try and keep things moving. I'm trying to hit it hard this year. I got my Frontier done, so I'm trying to keep it going, kind of hoard out a little bit.
Hells yeah, and speaking of that, when I did the solo intro on this episode, I was like, yeah, we're going to have Damien on, and oh, by the way, I think your truck's on a shirt that Hammered's selling. That's pretty damn cool, man. I give it 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, 4 on the floor, man. It was pretty cool. It was actually the guy I got it from in Vegas. It was his license plate whenever I picked it up. It said 4 on the floor. Vegas lets you have a lot more letters than Missouri does, so I was, as soon as I talked to Ron about it, putting it on a shirt, it was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, the listeners are going to hear some audio from Ron, and he kind of mentioned how you came up with the concept. And, obviously we linked up at Relaxin, which was a cool time, and you talked a little bit about it. But the shirt came out great. We're happy for you, man. And, I know it's going to be a top seller.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been trying to push it as hard as I can.
Real deal Holyfield, man. So, Mike and I talked when he got back from Scrapin, and, he gave me some key things to hit on. And, we'll start with, some of the title sponsors like Arturo Tire, American Force, and then there were some special sponsors like Delta World Tire, Finish Line Performance, Mike and Jerry's Paint, Supplies, so on and so forth. But I know you were there. Your truck was in the booth, so thanks for that. What was your overall feeling from Scrapin the Coast, man?
Man, this is my 4th year total being at this show. I remember coming in 2009 and 10, and then 2016. And I'd say my biggest takeaway from this show is it is just a super busy event. It just doesn't stop, start to finish. From when I got there Friday, I got in the building, got in the Coliseum, got back into the booth with Mike the Mayor. I had Tim with Sparkles Detail with his D50 parked next to me. It was definitely just an epic setup right off the bat. So pretty much just balls to the walls all weekend, just roaming the showgrounds. I mean, you've got a little bit of everything there. You've got a field of lifted trucks. You've got mini trucks. You've got full-size trucks laying body. You've got cars. You've got classics. I mean, you've really got bikes. I mean, you have the whole scenario all in one place. So I have to say that's probably my favorite part of this show is that no matter what you're into, you're going to come to Scrapin the Coast and you're going to see what you want to see.
You couldn't have said it any better. Mike and I, when we talked, it was one thing where, he's taken this role of, taking a lot more photos and, we're trying to divide and conquer some of the shows we can't both go to. But what I think is kind of important is, Mike said, he goes, yo, Jay, he goes, trying to go around and take photos. He's like, it's no joke. There's so, like the show, you almost get an additional appreciation because like you shoot for all time low, right? So when you get down and you know how it is, you get behind the camera and you're like, you kind of really want to document the show. Even if, you only use X amount of those photos, you kind of feel like, man, I want to get all the good stuff, right? So to your point, Mike's running around crazy going, man, I'm trying to be here, here, here. And it's not easy, man, with a show that big because there's so much quality there.
Yeah, I mean, they say one side of the show to the other. The coolest part of the show, I think, too, as well, is, you've got the ocean a 4-lane highway away from the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, besides the fact that, you can go and do a little vacationing, in between, while you're at the event, there's just plenty to do. There's plenty of good food to eat. We had my favorites, the A Rollin' Hut. They made an appearance this weekend. Definitely had to hit that up. I mean, there was just everything you can imagine was there on site.
Definitely was. Now, some of the preliminary numbers that I've heard is, I mean, we're talking over, right around 1,600 show entries. There were like 200 USACI stereo entries sponsored by SoundCubed and Tweet Shop. There was the hydraulic competition by Reds out of Miami. I know the tilt bed competition, I guess something happened there where Jeremy didn't show up or something happened. I don't know exactly, but, there was so much awesomeness going on. And, as someone that couldn't make it this year, like myself, I was sitting back looking at some of the feeds, and it just really, really, really had this, like, mega show appearance to me that it was like, man, there was so much good stuff there, lifted, lowered, cars, motorcycles, like you said. But what did you, like, as you're kind of going around, right, and you're seeing all these different vehicles, was there anything that, like, stood out when you left the show and was like, man, that was my favorite thing, or, like, one what's the word I'm looking for, like, just one memory from the show?
Well, I'd say besides my obvious just epic parking spot with OLP, I mean, I can't really get any better than that. I would say there was just some serious vendors there that really caught my attention. I thought Viair had a really awesome setup, some super cool guys. They gave me a wheel stand for the Frontier because they found out I was on Viair, so that was pretty cool. Fat Fabs and Extensive, both them guys just brought the heat. I mean, Fat Fabs had some super intense trucks in that Coliseum. And then you go outside, and Extensive has their big trailer. You've got people just swarming their booth all weekend because, I mean, hell, they're seeing this stuff on TV, and now it's in Biloxi. So that was definitely really cool. Just the overall presence, big-name vendors, I mean, it definitely just gave me plenty to look at.
I know, right? And there were a few other things I'll hit on, but I know Mike talked about, the burnout contest, that they had plenty of entries there. They roasted I don't know how many tires. That was sponsored by Lloyd's Automotive. And one of the things, kind of talking about, you mentioned Viair. So one of the, I'm trying to remember exactly the story. I think there was a guy, and he won a dual pack of Vieres, right? And Mike,
he'd won a dual pack and donated it right back.
Yeah, dude. So the homie, right? He wins the Vier, and he goes, and I guess he comes over and he's talking to Mike, and he says, "Yo, listen, man, I just bought some new Vier compressors, and I really don't need these." And Mike's like, "Okay." And he goes, "Here's what I want to do. I want to donate it back to Cruising for a Cause, and whatever it generates, that money, they could basically do their little raffle type thing or whatnot, right?" So literally, that generated, from what I heard, just over $400 that went back into the Cruising for a Cause, and I was just like blown away, dude.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it definitely was, and I will. I have the information. I'm going to look it up here. There was a gentleman, and I know he kind of on Instagram. It's number 2 bad BADGMCS. So 2 bad GMCs. But look him up, Airhead Nation. I know that he wanted to, he didn't really want the accolades for doing it, right? I know his son. We wanted to give a shout out to him. And so, big ups to him and his family for what they did, because it's not often when someone wins something like that they're willing to kind of just donate it back. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that was a good news story that I heard out of the show over the weekend. Heard a lot of good stuff, but right. So we talked a little bit about the inside, or the stuff that you liked about the show. What stood out to you, like anything outside? Because I know a lot of times, like, the inside is like, man, it's like mind blowing. You kind of talked about extensive and that type of thing, but were there any one particular ride that was maybe parked outside that stood out to you?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of different trucks outside that got my attention. Like I said, I'm not really don't really know all the names.
Sure.
But I know that Team Billet surprised me this weekend. A lot of the Team Billet stuff, I'm used to just super static dropped on huge billets. They brought out a truck this weekend. It was actually pink and had metallic graphics going down the side. Who knows how big the wheels were, but man, it was just a super clean truck. I threw up a couple pictures on the Facebook page of a lot of different billet wheels showing off. There's a Crew Cab S10 that I've been following pretty hardcore. It's a dark blue Crew Cab, rear suicide doors, full chassis. That's something I'm keeping a close eye on. I'm hoping I'm going to have dibs on to get in the magazine as soon as it gets done. So definitely a lot of cool stuff out there.
Man, you read my mind, because I'm looking back at my feed here with Mike, our text thread, and that was the truck I was going to mention. That pink truck from Team Billet, not only does it have that just awesome, almost like an 80s where everything is going, that awesome vibe to it, the setup in the back was awesome. I love the airlift performance manifold on it. Had polished tanks. I mean, just really, really well done. But like the photo that Mike posted, I think when it linked from Instagram to Facebook, it had like over 276 shares. And I was like, man, that's a lot. Like, that truck, I think, just really, really, really caught the eye of a lot of people, and that's pretty badass.
Yeah, the inside of that bed is super detailed. They had actually bead rolled 2 lines on top of the tub, and then they airbrush painted the inside of it to where it actually looks like it's stamped in, like stamped metal.
Yes.
Like almost like a runner on a bed floor. I mean, you almost had to look at it twice to see what, to really even notice that it was airbrushed.
Yeah, and it's a newer style Chevy, big wheels. I mean, it just shows the limit in the whole truck scene is just continuing to get pushed to the next level. So really, really, really amazing stuff there, man. So that also caught my eye. I noticed that just the overall show, from what I've heard, the attendance, even the spectators, was up. And I think it shows that the scene is really thriving, and you've got people that want to go out and see awesome stuff. And, you don't always have to have a ride to go out there and support the scene, man. If you have an opportunity to hit a show locally, like you're going to do this weekend at East Tennessee Showdown, I think it's important for people to get out there, support the vendors and things like that. It's a win-win for everyone.
Absolutely.
Now, in some of my other notes here, the trophies were by Creative House. That's KR8TIVE, I believe. Welch's Chop Shop, Vincent Designs. I know that Intro Wheels, they sponsored the wheel giveaway contest that Ryan Peter from Mobile, Alabama won 22-inch billet wheels. Slam Specialties and Viair did their air ride giveaway. Gulfport Dragway, big thanks to them for sponsoring the after party. Now, next year's dates are going to be June 19th through the 21st of 2020. The media coverage was everything from OLP, of course, Grinder TV, Chaos Designs from down south in Australia, Crooked Photography, Street Trucks. Now, Doc and Matt at Cruising for a Cause, big ups to them. Much thanks to everyone who actually supported the show and the cause overall. And then thanks to all the vendors and the sponsors for supporting the event. So I think overall, those were some of the messages that I wanted to kind of relay back to the Airhead Nation. Damien, how cool was it to have your truck, not just in a booth, but to have it there in that massive, what I call kind of like an East Coast SEMA type feel show?
Oh man, it was, I put up a post on my personal page as soon, I probably hadn't been at the show for 10 minutes just talking about how epic that parking spot was, especially, being much closer to me than Vegas, obviously. And all my friends are parked around me, my acrophobia brothers and sisters are all in the stadium or in the Coliseum, and I've got Mike and I've got Jason Fevum with his awesome work right next to me, people coming by, hanging out at the booth, asking me about my truck, Sparkles Detail right next to me, and it was truly just was an epic weekend. And obviously it was very helpful for me to get out of the heat a little bit and come hang out in the AC. Definitely,
dude. It definitely has been hot in the South. And, to your point, though, overall, man, it's just the camaraderie. Love Sparkles Detail, like you said. Their truck was right there, too. We were by them. But I think the coolest thing for me is just seeing how awesome the show scene has been. And there's a lot of people out there with a lot of badass rides. But the most important thing is just getting out there, slapping hands with people, and just enjoying yourselves. And I know that's what you were doing, but you were behind the lens a lot for All Time Low. So, it's awesome to see what you keep doing.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And we gave the All Time Low Choice Award to my buddy Nick Jacobo. He debuted his Silverado that weekend, and it just turned out awesome. It was that like a bronze color with the gold wheels, like the burnt orange goldish wheels. Man, that thing is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it was, man, and it was great to see some of these folks getting accolades for all the hard work that they've been putting in. Some very cool trucks there, whether it be minis, full sizes, you name it. The show was like beyond anything I could imagine, and I wasn't even able to make it this year. So I've got it marked on my calendar for next year. As I mentioned, guys, go in, have Google or Siri or whatever you guys use, or just go in old school and manually type it in. June 19th through the 21st, 2020. Also, Belanco is his name. It's Too Bad GMCs. And I apologize, I don't have his son's name handy. But, I wanted to give a shout-out to him and his family for donating those compressors back. But, man, I'm sure there's probably a few things that I'll think of after we finish this. I would just tell everyone, you got to support the scene. You got to support the big shows. You got to support the little shows, because this is what keeps this thing of ours going. And, I certainly appreciate your time. Damien, anything else that you kind of wanted to share, maybe about the truck or anything else you got going on, man?
I know one thing that I really enjoyed too is that Mike made himself, he helped me out, giving out the All-Time Low Choice Award to Nick, and I also chimed in, giving out the OLP Choice Award that went to Jason and Michelle Watts with their just ridiculous Tahoe. It was the pink Tahoe with the graphics.
Oh, dude, that thing was so awesome, man.
Yeah, it's something you got to see in person. The paint. It looks like they crushed glass and put it in the clear coat, because, it just dances. When the light's hitting it, the clear coat just keeps moving. So it was just super cool. They literally finished painting it Wednesday before the show. So, yeah. It was right out of the shop, dumped it off in the Coliseum, and it was definitely the highlight of the weekend in there.
Yeah, 1,000%. I would tell anybody if you think otherwise, Go out there, follow the homie Ruben's page, C1500 Nonsense. I can tell you what, Damien, those 88 to 98s, man, there's going to be we're already starting to see it, that resurgence, I call it. But, dude, like that Tahoe, that was one of the first photos I saw that Mike took there, and I was just like, man, that captured so much awesomeness in that two-door truck, man, that SUV. Very cool, man. So, yeah, follow Scrapin the Coast show, and I don't care what anybody says. Go out there, as Greg mentioned on the last episode. It doesn't matter what show it is or who the show promoter is. Just go out there and support the scene. That is very important. But I could tell you, someone like Scrapin that's been doing this nearly 2 decades, it's not by chance that it just was one good year. It's every single year they're up in the ante and they're taking it to the next level. And you can sit back with your arms crossed going, it's a big show, whatever. But hands down, if there weren't shows like this, we wouldn't be having these epic conversations about all the cool trucks. And a lot of the trucks really came out swinging at this show, minis, full sizes, you name it. So I'm super stoked that you were able to make it, Damien, and thanks again for parking in the booth, brother.
Hell yeah, I definitely wouldn't miss it again.
Hells yeah. We'll keep rolling that crew cab mini. Go out there, Airhead Nation, buy. You got a few more days, buy the HammerDWeekendWear shirt. You want to get out there, order it, pre-order it, save yourself a few dollars. And when you're at a show, slap hands with Damien because he's a good dude and he stays on the rise. All right, Damien, we appreciate you, brother. We out you.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Yo, it's ODB, and this is my industry, sports, culture, entertainment, movies, music, you name it, updates for the Airhead Nation. So I'll start off here with industry updates. All of these are items that I noticed over the past week. So the first one here, and many of these come from motor1.com. You'll remember sometime last year, there were the wildfires in California, and there was a special someone who had a Toyota pickup. Mike and I talked about it in the truck. Basically, they helped rescue people with this truck, and it gained a lot of steam in social media. Toyota ended up stepping up, and the truck was kind of burnt for the most part. It was burnt. They ended up giving them another truck. So this article here is titled Hero Nurses Free Tundra Gets Hot Makeover to Honor Burnt Original. And so if you recall when we talked about it, the original truck that they owned, like literally the door panels or the doors and the outside sheet metal of the truck was burnt. It looked black. So this story kind of goes on to talk about how the new truck that they got basically got a custom, you almost want to call it like a patina, but it's like a burnt paint job. And it was pretty cool that they did it. They have photos here from Rockstar Garage. The original post was a little bit over a week ago. In that post, which I think was technically on Facebook, said today we surprised _Pandra, Pandra, with the new Pandra Pro on 40s along with Toyota USA. It was awesome to see him speechless for once. What Bullet Liner did with the custom color spray to match the OG Pandra was badass. Swipe to check it out. Rockstar Garage, Toyota, Paradise Strong, and Campfire. Those were the 4 hashtags that they used. But it was really cool. And then there was also a photo, and this is what prompted me to go out there and look for it. There was a photo, and it's also on this post, where I believe it shows the original Toyota Tundra and then the new one. So the new one's lifted now, and they're nose to nose. Very cool. Again, that overall story to me was really moving, that someone did what they did, like many people, right? In times of need, they were out there helping. We saw it even with the horrible storms and the hurricanes, like in Houston just a couple years ago. You know, a lot of folks go out there and help each other. But then for a company like Toyota, now they can't do it for everyone, but the story resonated enough for them to say, you know what? this would be a good PR story for us, and it's rewarding for the owner whose truck's kind of damaged. So that was the first one that I saw there, kind of industry overall updates. Next, Car and Driver has a story. The 2022 GMC Jimmy could be GM's answer to the Jeep Wrangler. This body-on-frame off-road SUV could ride on GM's mid-size pickup underpinnings. And the, I'll say, illustration, it looks like here is what I would call it. Looks, pretty cool. When I first look at it, it almost looks like the way the back glass is. It reminds me of the Amigo hardtop, kind of rodeo looking on the back. But overall, I don't think it looks, too horrible. I'm not a huge fan of these new GM vehicles, but what they're going for, I'm like, okay, maybe it's not too bad. But it says General Motors is looking to come up with its own competitor to the Jeep Wrangler, and it could take form, as I mentioned, of a GMC Jimmy SUV as illustrated above. So check it out. It says the new GMC model could arrive within the next few years with a starting price around $30,000. I like how there's like a lot of could come up, could arrive, could be this price, basically throwing darts at a board. But again, you look at it and say, hey, that's where all the cars, the look, the feel, the SUVs, the crossovers, you name it. And if that's what it is, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it's not too bad. Next, another site that I really like, and it comes up a lot in my Google feed. So there's gmauthority.com. There's a lot of good articles out here. In this article, of course, maybe a little bit of clickbait, but it caught my attention. I think on Twitter, it says, or the Google app, $100,000 Chevy pickup, ? It could happen. And it went on to talk about, although Ford will gladly sell customers the F-250 Limited for nearly $100,000, no pickup truck has quite broken the mark yet. Chevrolet, however, could be the first. And it kind of goes on to say that this guy, Sandor, Chevy Trucks marketing head, told the Detroit Bureau that there could very well be room to grow the Silverado and make one variant a six-figure pickup. It would likely be a heavy-duty model. He also said, or he was asked directly if such truck is in the works, but didn't offer any insight into the future. And then there's a photo there of the 2500 HD. Now, there was an article I think I mentioned recently where Chevy was going to ramp up building or their facilities to build more HD trucks. I think many of us love those trucks. There's no doubt about it. But when you start getting up to these insane prices, like I don't really know how many people are buying them, I kind of went back and forth with someone earlier this year on my C30 Attic page, and I had posted, I think, a new Chevy, and, they said they love them, and we kind of went back and forth, but GM Authority oftentimes will have the sales numbers per quarter of the trucks, actually month over month, and I started doing the math, and at least up and through, I want to say like March, maybe April, the sales were down year over year from the previous year. Now, I know this is kind of a weird year where some of the models are last year's models, some of them are the new ones. I don't think the 2500 HDs are technically out, nor are the 3500s. The way that works, sometimes that goes a little bit further in the year, and it will become a 2020 model. So I haven't really memorized that stuff off the top of my head, but earlier this year, the numbers were down, and it got me speculating, like, is it really the backlash that a lot of us in the truck world thought, which was, man, these trucks are ugly. I mentioned earlier in the year also that my buddy Dar bought a 2019, was it 2019? I think it's a 2019 GMC pickup, fully loaded, and man, the price tag on that thing was insane. Sure, it's got the cool, crazy license plate, the tailgate where it flips down, folds down 10 ways, whatever, but some of that stuff is kind of like a novelty. It's, are you really going to use it? I know Tony Boss Bolin, he was getting some work done on his truck several months back, and he has a 2015, and when the dealer had it to do some sort of, I think, a PCM type update, they gave him a 2019, I think, to cruise around. It was a new body style, and he was like, man, this thing rides like a car. And of course, it had the 60/40 seat in it, and it wasn't all decked out, but at the same time, that truck was probably still pretty damn expensive. And I don't know, man, trucks are just, they make these OEMs a lot of money, but I'm not sold on where they're going with trucks. I think of a truck as like what I have, a 2008 2500. It's a truck. The body style was a little different from years, prior or previous years, but I don't know, man. We'll have to see where this whole truck stuff goes and if people keep buying them. Next story was on autoblog.com. This one is 2020 Chevy, of course they always say Chevrolet, 2020 Chevrolet Silverado HD, another HD story, first drive, better when bigger, but it says just look right at it. And there's a cool photo on this article where they're driving somewhere up in the mountains, and you got the sun, looks like kind of coming up through the trees, and you got the mountains in the background, and it's a white truck. It's got the big, call it the Dumbo ear type mirrors. I don't know why they mounted them on the door like that. I don't know. I don't like it. But it kind of talks about many folks buy a 1500 simply because they want a truck for the style or because they occasionally could use one. By contrast, buyers of the HD models need a truck. According to Chevrolet, 90% of HD buyers use it for trailering, which I would definitely agree. They kind of talk about, trailering. They don't mean like a dirt bike or small bass boat. They're talking about roughly 100,000 fifth wheel RV trailers that were sold in the U.S. They talk a little bit about some of those differences, but it talks about the difference is you can be seen in the sales mix of, it says the difference in use can be seen in the sales mix of the Silverado models. If you were to plot it on a graph, the 1500 sales mix would look like a bell, with the mid-grade LT and RST being the volume sellers. The HD models are the exact opposite, with a graph resembling a bowl. Basically, businesses buy the work truck in custom, whereas recreational buyers go with the range-topping LTZ and high country, which, again, those trucks are friggin' awesome, but, man, you definitely pay for those, especially if you're buying brand new, not a couple years old. But it's a pretty thorough, in-depth review. I also like how on one of the photos it shows the fifth wheel in the bed of the truck. It shows I think it's the High Country, the Sierra, maybe it's a Sierra Country model, and some cool photos in there, kind of press-type photos. But good article. If you're looking for a new truck, go out there. It's autoblog.com, and it's titled 2020 Chevrolet Silverado, blah, blah, blah. So you'll see it. Motor1.com, another article here, Ford Bronco's engine confirmed by auto parts store leak. It says the upcoming Ford Bronco allegedly uses a 2.3-liter engine, according to a new leak from a very unlikely place. A writer for offroad.com discovered the info on a tablet for looking up parts at a Canadian tire store, and there's kind of a photo that someone had posted on Instagram. The listing for the 2021 Ford Bronco is also on the Canadian Tire's website. Motor1.com believes the 4-140 part on the specification refers to 4-cylinder and 140 cubic inches, which is equal to a 2.3 liter. So interesting, again, long-awaited Ford Bronco return. Again, I kind of look at it, in the rear end of this mock-up image or illustration reminds me of the Excursions, and really the Excursion that was it Totally Polished that they built? They had shrunk one down to the two-door. It kind of reminds me of that, but a refreshed, 2019, 2020 type model look, if you will, where these OEMs are going. But the color even is reminiscent of the Totally Polished, which of course has been totally rebuilt, and I think is green and black. Last I remember. Okay, next again, Motor1.com. I'm seeing a lot of this in my Google feed. 2020 Chevrolet Silverado HD first drive, punishing capability, painful looks. Again, kind of the same here, that I'm sure Chevrolet invited a lot of these different groups out to test drive and do their in-depth review. So go out there and check it out. This one's a little bit different than the one I mentioned earlier. And then the last one that I'll cover, This one came up the day today, the day that I'm recording this audio. And again, maybe a little bit of clickbait, but I was like, I got to look at this. Chevy Camaro being discontinued after 2023. That says it's a report. But here's the thing where it's maybe clickbait. This guy, Christopher Smith, writes, GM neither confirms nor denies the Camaro's imminent demise. Could Chevy be on the verge of killing the Camaro again? It says a new report from Muscle Car and Trucks alleges that might well happen after 2023, which is when the current 6th gen Camaro is slated to end production. The report cites multiple sources at GM as saying the next-gen Camaro program is suspended with no apparent future beyond 2023. Those sources also allegedly say the nameplate will likely be shelved, meaning no more Camaro for the second time in the pony car's history. We contacted GM to see if there's any truth to the claim, and there's an official statement there. It talks about an all-new LT1 model, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not going to go on to all that. I'm not a huge sports car type fan. I mean, I think it's a part of the American culture to have like a Mustang and a Camaro. It's that type of deal. But who knows? We of course know that the car was brought back, and I don't know what the sales numbers have been. But the homie Tony Boss Bolin, his mother has one. I think a red Camaro. I think I rode in it one time, and nice car. But again, we'll have to see what the fate of that car is. So, sports, no real updates here. Culture, I thought this was kind of cool. Sneakerheads, as they're often referred to as, which I hate that term. The Sneaker Con, SneakerCon, on Instagram had posted the Mag Adapt BB unboxing. You can go on sneakercon.com. Now, this shoe, the reason why I'm talking about it is reminiscent of the Nike Mag, which is often referred to as the Back to the Future 2 shoe, right, that Marty wears when he goes from 85 into 2015, and Doc tells him to change his clothes, blah, 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 and they have the Nike bag, and then boom, he's got the Mags. Now, those shoes in the movie had quote-unquote power laces. However, of course, as many of us know, that was, just all a lot of stage hands, if you will, making the laces look like they're power. There's a couple behind-the-scene photos that show how they did it, but of course we know back, 30-plus years ago, that just wasn't happening. So you fast forward to the future, pun intended, and the Mag shoes were produced by Nike, and then a few years later, they were produced in very limited numbers. I don't know what the number count was, but they were produced to the point that, like Michael J. Fox, I think, got a pair. There's a video of him trying them on with the power laces. So Nike apparently was dabbling around with the whole kid they make it happen, this type of thing and whatnot. Well, this is what you have here. You have the Mag, M-A-G, Adapt BB. This unboxing, watched a little bit of it. It's their caption here says the auto lacing Adapt BB takes on the colorway of the Nike Mag, which again is from Back to the Future 2, providing good performance and style both on and off the court. And then they kind of go on to say, would you rock these? Now, this video I'm looking at here has 462,000, about 462.6 thousand views. So, a lot of people have kind of watched it, and who knows how many comments, because the way Instagram is now, you can't really easily tell, but tons of comments. One comment here is nice, another sneaker no one will be able to buy, and it's probably true because some of these sneakers are just, they go right into collectors' hands or people that, make tons of money and they don't mind spending $5 or $10 grand or however much they're going to pay for these damn things. But I did see a prototype video. I think some of the people in the press were able to get their hands on these, or maybe it was one person. I forget who it was. But it was pretty cool that there's an app, and then when you put the shoe on, which this is maybe getting to the point of true laziness, where like you would put your shoe on, and then you would use the app to kind of auto lace it. So again, not something I would wear. I mean, I love the style of it, right? Because I'm a big big Back to the Future fan, but the whole like auto lacing thing, I think in the future, yeah, it's going to be something that, you know, athletes are going to wear, and they're going to be like, oh, you know, I got my shoe to this pressure, you know, tied to this, you know, whatever. But in all seriousness, go check it out if you're interested in sneakers. The next culture item that kind of really falls under entertainment as well, the Stranger Things show, as I call it, is a Netflix original. Love the show. If you haven't watched it, you got to go out there, season 1, season 2. I think they're referred to as seasons. That's what I call them. But if you haven't, go check it out. They did, for season 3, an unbelievable, what I call mashup. So the show takes place in Hawkins, I think it's referred to, and it's the early 80s. If you've watched the show, you probably love it. I love it just for the nostalgia. Well, last week I was on vacation, and I'm looking on Instagram, and Mongoose pulls up. At Mongoose, someone had reshared it, and that prompted me to go over. Now, Mongoose bikes are pretty much nowadays. I don't know if they make any professional bikes. Maybe they do, because I think the girl a year ago that was at the Rad Hell Track event, she was sponsored by Mongoose. So I'm guessing they do make some kind of pro model, you know, some legit stuff to try to, you know, keep up with competition. But the Walmart style and Target bikes are like, you know, none of us are going to ride those. Those are going to be kind of for their kids or, you know, whatever. My son has one, but, you know, they're not collectible. But what Stranger Things did, they did this mashup with Mongoose, and they released what I refer to as like a retro BMX bike. Something that we would have yearned to have like in 1983, 4, 5, right? So go out there, check out at Mongoose on Instagram. Now, here's the bad news. When I saw it, my interest was piqued. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Love Stranger Things. Seeing the box of this thing, it says Stranger Things. It's Mongoose. It has a couple little nods on the bike, the pads and stickers to the show. I'm like, dude, badass. I think a chrome frame, yellow mags, reminiscent of Skyway, you name it. Well, rumor had it from the post after I started looking into it that it was going to be available on June 30th. And I'm like, okay, June 30th, you know, week and a half away, whatever. Well, then no sooner I'm scrolling through my feed that morning, and I'm seeing people that have the bike. And the first guy was a guy that we sometimes have reshared that collects. He's got like all the skateboards on his wall, crazy collection of just toys and everything 80s, you name it. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe they got in contact with him, and because he's got these unbelievable collection, he got his hands on it. And I start seeing other people, and then my homie Tony Boss Ballin sends me a photo. He's like, I got a BMX addiction. He's got 2 in his cart, you know, takes a photo, sends it to me. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Well, I don't know the exact story, but they essentially had how did someone say it? They didn't have a release date. They had a hold date, if that makes sense. So long story short, when they got the bikes, I don't know how long they had them. They're like, put these bikes out for sale. And people, especially the BMX guys, started scooping them up. Now, if it was a regular Target or Walmart style Mongoose bike, I wouldn't be interested at all. But because it's the Stranger Things and it has that early 80s BMX feel to it, I think it will highly become a collectible. Some people were able to get the box, like where it wasn't even put together. Others said, you know, it was already put together, but the manager wouldn't sell the box. I'm like, really? But so some people got it just with the bike put together. Others got it with the bike put together and the box separate. But because the box says Stranger Things on it and whatnot, you know, you can imagine people are really trying to get their hands on them. I know the homie Josh Ellis, he also copped one. I was chatting with him in Instagram that morning. Boss Bolin, he scooped up a couple. So only time will tell if on June 30th they will be available, if there's any left. But, you know, we'll see. All right, entertainment. We had Toy Story 4 movie came out. I got a chance to check it out with the family. It was a good family movie. If you're a fan of Pixar or a fan of the Toy Story franchise, you will love it. I watched earlier this year, I think it was. I don't know if it was on Netflix. I can't remember if it was just about John Lasseter, who is like the head guy at Pixar, but he was highly tied into this documentary on Netflix. And it talked a lot about how he was, I think, with Disney, and then they let him go, and then he kind of came back a few years, and this is before, like, graphics were even real big with, like, news organizations, and it talked about all the stuff that they started and the stuff that they kind of spearheaded, and then how it impacted even like news organizations with their graphics on screen, and then the infancy of Pixar, you name it, so on and so forth. But Toy Story 4, real good movie, good family movie. I still want to check out Men in Black. I haven't seen one review from it. It might have shitty Rotten Tomatoes. I don't really care. The reason why is, in my younger days, one of my first, I think it was my third job, I worked at Cobb Theater. And that movie, the first one, came out when my buddy John and I worked there, if I remember correctly. And man, people came back for that original one over and over and over again. I know Spielberg's organization was involved with making it. Had a good soundtrack for the most part, reminiscent of the late '90s, and it just was a mega hit. So I kind of want to just go back and get that old school summer feeling of a blockbuster style movie and just check it out. If it's horrible, I'll let you guys know. Okay, the music and movies. Well, music. All right, I already covered kind of entertainment with movies, but The Game, for you guys, for anybody that knows, The Game is a West Coast artist. His name's a little bit strange. It's The Game, or often referred to as Game. But he is releasing what he's saying is his final album this summer. We shall see. But I saw an Instagram post from him maybe a week and a half ago, and then today, when I was before I started recording, I saw something pop up on my YouTube, and it was Power 106 over in Cali, and he was a guest there. I think the interview is 40 to 60 minutes, and it covers many topics. I only had a chance to watch about 15 minutes of it, but he even calls Dr. Dre in the video, and Dre picks up without it. I think the phone doesn't even ring once. But I think it's going to be, I think it'll be a good album. He really is a good MC overall, especially his early stuff. But he gets a lot of flack for name dropping as much as he does, and I didn't get to that part of the interview, but he talks a little bit about that and whatnot. So if you're interested in that, go out there on YouTube, search The Game Power 106. More than likely it'll come up. And again, I like how they interview these guys, but they also have the camera set up, so they post that video, and that's what they did. All right, tech updates. Everyone's pretty much waiting for the beta of iOS 13. Having worked with iOS and Apple for many years, typically I think since they rolled out the public beta, those usually come in July. I would tell everyone, do not run even the public beta. Back in the day, it was like everybody wanted the developer beta. Well, Apple rolled out the public beta so that they could get more feedback, because they would launch these updates and there would be little things, obscure things in the OS operating system that were broken. So now they have the public beta. But I would still caution you, even though it's more stable and they wait about a month from the first initial release to developers to the release for the public, you can do the load over the air, right on Wi-Fi. It's pretty simple. But I would highly encourage you, do not do it to what we refer to as your daily driver phone. If you got an iPad, maybe you don't use anymore, and it's capable of iOS 13, by all means, if you're super anxious. I used to be one of the guys that's like, oh, man, I want to get it on my phone. Man, there's cool features, blah, blah, blah. Some of the stuff doesn't even work until you get to the fall closer, like the number 5 or number 6 public beta. So, to me, I've had too many hiccups over the years. They've made it a little bit easier to go back. But a lot of times, if you have your phone backed up on iOS 13, you can't go back to iOS 12 point whatever and then restore, because you have a backup from 13. So it gets really confusing. Long story short, I'm looking forward to iOS 13, some cool features, but I'm going to wait until sometime in September. That's typically when they release it to the mass public. All right, last couple items. Gaming, which I'll sometimes also cover retro gaming. So this week, I bought the first video game for me in probably 15 plus years. So the reason why I did that, my son loves, like many of your kids, and maybe you guys out there, loves to play Fortnite, just different online games, so on and so forth. I'm more of a no time for games. I'll play some Super Mario Brothers, maybe some old school stuff that brings me back to being a kid. But, I'm trying to connect with my son even more, and I'm like, you know what? Growing up, well, more of a teenager / adult, right? 18, so on, 19 years old. I really got into the whole Tony Hawk series. I remember the first one I had, I think, was on Dreamcast, and I loved that game. And a lot of it was kind of unreal, right? You doing all these crazy gaps and grinding up to the next pipes like way above you, but it was a cool game. For whatever reason, I just loved the controls. It was easy to play. And over the years, there's been multiple versions of the game to the point that they got to Thug, which was Tony Hawk Underground. And I think there were a couple of those, and I kind of got to a point in my life where I'm like, I don't have time. But I've been wanting, my son has an Xbox 360, I think it's the newer one, or Xbox One, whichever the newer one is, right? And I told him the other day, I was like, man, we should check it out. And sure enough, we did, and we found one. And, it kind of had gotten bad reviews. People were saying, it's glitchy. And with video games now, like if there's glitches, they just release an update and fixes some of them, right? Kind of like a phone deal. But I say all that because, man, earlier today, I sat down with him for like an hour, and it was pretty cool because he oftentimes, like, I don't want to even use any brain power to like learn controls, and it's one reason like I never played the Guitar Hero or the DJ Hero thing, because I'm like, look, if I want to learn something or I want to do something with my mind, like I want to go out and like work on my Lincoln or work on the house or do something like that, right? Something that I need to do. Like I don't want to waste brain power trying to, I'm going to remember every single finishing move in Mortal Kombat. Like I don't know. I just don't have that in me. So it was cool because this was like the first game in however many years that I'm playing. I'm like, okay, give me the controller. Like I'm itching. And I'm starting to get the controls back a little bit, and not so much memorized stuff, but it was like, okay, when you jump in the air, you do this, you hold you do the board grabs and things like that. And man, it was a lot of fun. That's the one game over the years besides Mario that really brings me back, and had a lot of fun playing it. Of course, the music was typically good. I only played for maybe an hour today, but I know that I'm going to be playing more because, I'd play one round. I'm like, okay, I get one more. And that's what we used to always say with our friends, all right, one more. Let me restart this, But so good times. Hopefully he and I will spend some time there playing the game. All right, closing thoughts. You heard Mike and I talk a little bit about this earlier. It will be a great weekend this weekend. There's another show, and I'm super stoked to get out. Plus, it's a show that I've never been to, plus my wife is going. So I try to get my family involved in the shows, whether it be in-state or, by the way, we're going to an out-of-state show a couple states away, and the wife is going. I encourage you guys, get out there, enjoy the scene in one way or another. If you don't have a ride and you're itching for one, pick something up on the cheap, man. You've seen tech articles over the years and street trucks, so on and so forth. Static drop it, Just get out there. Life is too short not to be doing the things that you really enjoy. And before you know it, man, life has gone by. So my closing thought is you got to get up, get out, and get something. Don't let the days of your life pass by. And, of course, that's from the Outkast Goody Mob song on Southern Playalistic Cadillac Funky Music, the debut album from Outkast. So love that track, love the message in it, and you guys do the same. Stay on the rise, but get out, and get something. Don't let the days of your life pass by. So, with that being said, we out here. We'll hit you guys next week. Peace. Yo, and we got Mr. Riggedy Ron Perkins in the house from HammerDWeekendWear. What's going down, our friend?
What's going on, man? It's good to be back on. It's been a minute.
Yeah, man, everything is good on the East Coast. How's everything? I know recently many of your friends and people in the scene know they follow you on Facebook, Ron. You took that wild road trip from the East back to the West. How's everything going with the move and just that overall road trip?
Really good. The road trip was good. I knocked something off my bucket list that I've been wanting to do forever. I went up and saw Mount Rushmore and kind of slow poked at getting back here and took the trip from St. Louis to Portland, Oregon, and it's really good to be back home, and everybody in the Pacific Northwest has welcomed me back with open arms, so it's just really great to be back.
Rock on. I've always wanted to go to Mount Rushmore, so tell me this. how far is it off like the beaten path? Like, is it just like maybe an hour off the interstate? Is it something that's that close?
Well, I don't know exactly. Maybe an hour, maybe 45 minutes. I kind of set my GPS for Mount Rushmore, so it's not like I was just rolling by and I was like, "Oh shit, I'll turn here." Um, but it was pretty cool. They have like you pay to park. I guess they say it's free, but you got to pay to park, and then you just walk not up to it, but up to a viewing area. Yeah, and it was definitely something to see. It was really cool.
Yeah, dude, rock on, man. It's pretty cool, man. That's one place I've always wanted to go, but I'm like, man, that's a far ways away. So it was great that you were able to hit it along the way.
Yeah, it was a detour actually, and whenever I've traveled either to the Midwest or back east from Oregon, or just making a road trip in general, it's a little north, and it's kind of out of the way from anything that where I'm always traveling, and so I was just like, the hell with it. It's a little out of the way, but we're gonna make it happen.
Hails to the yeah, brother. Well, I'm glad you made it safe, man. And speaking of the West Coast trip, I know you and we don't talk a lot about NBA during this playoffs, like Jim Mora would say, but we, both of our teams kind of got, taken out at some point of the season, but man, they both had real good, and I say our teams, like my team, like I kind of, I like the Warriors, but overall, man, both teams played damn good, man, in the regular season.
Oh yeah, for sure. The Blazers, the Portland Trailblazers, have always been my favorite team. Being the hometown team and whatnot. And I followed them when I went to the Midwest, and they had a damn good season, one of their best in a while. And then they got hung up on the Warriors, and the Warriors swept them. And after that, I was rooting for the Warriors, and then they couldn't get the job done. So it's something to leave open for next year. I'm really excited about being back in Portland and actually being able to go to some games. As I mentioned before, I was able to go to the Denver Portland series in Denver on the way back with the moving truck, and then I caught a game here in Portland, that 4 overtime game. So that was super sweet, and I plan to do many more next year.
Kick ass, dude, and we'll have to see how the season plays out next year, but it is fun, and especially me living here. There's really no team. Obviously, you could drive over to Orlando, which I've done a couple times, but it's kind of cool, man, just watching NBA, and the NBA has been on the rise the last several years, man, with the viewers, the overall viewers. I think the overall, just people look at the NBA a little bit different than they did maybe 10 years ago, so that's always cool. But now...
Yeah, and you know what? Not to cut you off, but actually, me and Josh Ellis were talking the other day, and he's a big Arizona Cardinals NFL fan, and so am I. And so I've been following the Cardinals for a while, and so is he. And so we talk a lot about that. And actually, we discovered that that the Cardinals are playing in Tampa Bay this year. So I was like, huh.
There you go, man.
That might be a trip, man. Go down there and get Jay and the mayor down to a game.
Definitely, man. It'll be beautiful weather depending on what month it is, and maybe Mike the Mayor, he'll take you over to the famed spaceship over here. I know that's one of his frequent spots down on Southdale Mabry. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So well, good stuff. Now I was even though we all kind of partner up really well, whether it be All Time Low magazine, HammerDWeekendWear, so on and so forth. We all kind of have that tight knit, help each other out. And one thing that got me really excited, and it always does when we start talking about the new shirts that you have come out, I'm always stoked to see what vehicles you pick. And, sometimes I'll have a little bit of inside information like, oh, okay, yeah. But, man, that starts pretty early, doesn't it, right? I mean, you're probably already thinking a shirt or two ahead.
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you bring that up is because I was thinking the other day, I get messages from people quite often, and they're like, hey, use my truck, or I know this guy's truck. And, just like with the podcast, it helps, because I can't see everything. But I was messaging somebody the other day, and I realized, like, I'm counting everything. And I'm like, I used to be like, I'm out with designs until 2020. Now I'm almost like have so many committed already that I'm almost full with 2020 and into 2021. So basically what we try to do is so we don't like hit everybody with a shirt every 2 weeks or every month or whatever. I try to release 2 shirts every 2 months, and then that gives us 12 designs a year, which we can fill a calendar up with. So that's kind of right now, we're getting really close to being already booked for next year. So it's yeah, and actually back to your point, this one that we just dropped that we've had on the back burner for a little while, Eric's getting ready to start another artwork that's already paid for, and then we just paid for another 2 artworks. So we're like 6 ahead. Usually try to stay at least 4 ahead just because of timing. So yeah, it's why everybody's getting excited about the new brand, the 2 new designs. I'm like, want to tell you about the next 2 and the next 4, but it's just something we got to keep on wraps, and you know, the vehicle owners know about it, and I know about it, and of course Graphic Disorder knows about it, but it stays pretty tight until we decide to drop the bomb on everybody.
Definitely, man. And like I said, it's always fun, even from, I would say, a lot of listeners, even if they're casual listeners or, you know, casual mini truckers, and, you know, maybe they can't afford to buy every shirt, I'm sure that they get excited to be like, man, I wonder what's coming next. And you've done a good job mixing things up, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, because when I was wearing, in a video I posted earlier this week, I was wearing the Scrapin the Coast shirt, and I loved how you had that shirt, and then, you know, you had you had Cliff's truck, right, from East Coast Minis, right? So you kind of had that mix, and then this time you kind of did similar. So why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about the 2 current shirts that are in pre-order?
Yeah. Generally, what we like to do is we like to, if I could put out a mini truck on every shirt, I probably would. But what I try to do is I try to get a good feel and a good mix for everything. I try to put either a full-size truck and a mini on a shirt and release them at the same time, or I'll try to do a car and a mini truck. So yeah, we did Greg Miller's car and Cliff's Colorado, the Going Hard in the Paint design. And then when these 2 new shirts that we released, we've been in contact with Damien Davis for a while, and there was a couple ideas. Damien actually came up with the text of the whole shirt about the 4 on the floor. So, you know, the design and everything, Eric knocked out. I wanted to use Damien's truck, and there was 4 on the floor was one idea, and then he had a couple other ideas, and they were actually pretty solid ideas, but we stuck with the 4 on the floor, you know, to represent his crew cab frontier. So that's one that we released on Sunday that will be on pre-order until the following Sunday, which is coming up here in a couple days.
Nice, man. And I would imagine, like, right, the mini truckers probably go heavy on the crew cab mini. Damien's awesome. Nissan, he was a recent guest. We slapped hands with him at Relaxin at the Park St. Louis. But then you probably have a shirt like the fire truck shirt where it, you know, is probably going to sell pretty well at different events that you go to as well. So talk to us a little bit about the dynamic. You know, I know you kind of mentioned it there, but how important is it for you to have that mix so that you can sell to, you know, different genres, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good balance, and I mean, that's basically what Hammered's about, is just, you know, featuring anything that's Hammered. So, you know, whether it's a Nissan 720 or it's a Chevelle, it doesn't matter like what kind of genre it's in. You know, we just stick to things that are Hammered. And, you know, the Nick McDonald's fire truck that he built was out at SEMA a while back. That's something that I always wanted to feature, and it's always been kind of on the back burner. And when we decided to do that, we wanted to kind of, you know, give a nod to St. Louis and It's Gettin Hot In Herre with the hit song by Nelly. So we decided to just chop that up in with the fire truck shirt, and it's actually like the pre-orders are going super strong. That's a super popular shirt. So it's awesome that everybody digs it. Anytime I can put out a design and then people like it as much as I do, and we're getting repeat orders and the pre-orders are blowing up, it's super humbling just to know that we're on the same page with everybody. Because, you know, at the end of the day, like, we are, as Hammered and as Ron Perkins, we're involved in this scene. This is our scene. The whole mini trucking scene is our thing. I mean, we're not trying to take over the scene. It's not a takeover of any kind. And so I just want to go out there and put out the best product that we can and do what we do.
Well, that's rad, dude. It really is. And like I said, I think it's important for anyone that has a product to really think outside the box a little bit and not pigeonhole yourself into one particular thing, because things changes, right? That and styles change and things like that. But I think one thing that I've noticed with your product is the artwork continues to be on point, and you and I both know that that's important when you're working in a scene like ours, right? You want to differentiate yourself, but the products continue to be really above par, which I love. But at the same time, you continue to kind of hand select some different vehicles from the scene. And some of those, maybe like Greg Miller's shirt was Scrapin the Coast, which was the Scrapin the Most shirt. That was cool to me because, again, it was a little bit, it's within the scene, but it was thinking outside the box and not just doing a mini truck. So I mean, good job, man, overall.
Yeah, appreciate you saying that. It was really cool because I had come to Greg with the idea, and I said, I really want to feature your car, man. I said, but I need your permission to put Scrapin the Most on it, and he thought it was killer, and so I'm like, cool, let's roll with it. And it just, Eric, I always have high expectations, and he always just goes above and beyond those. So when I saw the artwork with the Tiki Dude hanging out the 55 and the Scrapin the Most on it, he kind of reworked the front of the shirt to use that same kind of font that Greg does on his shirt. So he nailed that one, and every time they just keep getting cooler and cooler, and I hope it doesn't ever stop.
Definitely. And I tell people all the time, it's HammerD weekendwear.com. It's simple. And then we try to start the hashtag campaign HD for Hammered and then WW, or you can obviously type out the whole thing. But if you're going to do the whole thing, Hammered Weekendwear, also add HDWW. We like to kind of reshare some of those photos as well sometimes. Now, how cool is it once you get them in, right? And you take that original or that first photo and you post it up, and some guys will kind of lay the shirts out, the different colors and whatnot, but there's got to be some excitement from people because they jump in on the pre-order, they wait a couple weeks, hopefully, and then boom, you're shipping them out. But what's the excitement like when you get them in and you're ready to get packing?
Well, the most exciting part for me is when people get their order and after they've been waiting a couple weeks for it, they get their order and they snap a picture and then they tag us in it, or they, on Facebook or Instagram. That's always the best. I mean, when I get the boxes, it is like hundreds of shirts, like in a box that I have to sort out and fold and bag and tag and ship. That's like 90% of the work. So when I get the shirts, I pull them out of the box. I look at them, I'm like, man, these are killer. Now I got to do a bunch of fucking work. And then, so like the most exciting part to me, is actually, when people post them and, whether they're like, hey, thanks, Ron, I got my shirts, or these turned out killer, or this sucks. Nobody's ever posted that, but nobody's ever posted that. But, just with people like, given the feedback that they're just excited, if not more excited than we are, is killer. So, I mean, yeah, definitely if you when you get your new shirt and if you like it, or, any kind of feedback is great. It always helps us grow and better ourselves. And, whatever we can do to streamline the process itself, we're always trying to do, and we're always trying to come up with new things. So, yeah. And if you have any feedback or ideas or anything, you can always message me on Instagram. You can message me on the Hammered Facebook. You can message me on the Ron Perkins Facebook. Like, I'm pretty easy guy to get a hold of if you need to get a hold of me.
Oh, yeah. You're not hiding under any rocks, that's for sure. So, Ron, one thing I was going to mention was, like, I know I'm not the first guy to do it. I feel like maybe I started a little bit of a trend, but one thing I've always loved to do, even going back to the old days before I even met you, is I love, like, having a shirt and taking a cool photo. Like, there was a shirt that I wore when I went to the CN Tower in Toronto, and I knew that day I wanted to wear a certain shirt. And when we took photos of, like, I'll always tell my wife, hey, I need you to take a picture of my shirt, right? She's like, oh,
Right.
okay, give me your phone. And,
Here we go.
I try to,
Mark.
stage it. Well, if it's like a vacation or,
Right.
we've seen this. I did it one time with a different shirt, and it was at SEMA, and I was wearing the truck shirt, and the truck was in front of me, and I love doing that kind of stuff. And we've seen some of that. One of the homies, Randy, he's a huge supporter of the podcast. He's in Florida right now. And on Instagram, we've probably given him a shout out before, but it's Randy Colwell, COLWELL78. He posted a photo, and he was in front of, he says, I'm rocking the HammerDWeekendWear Forces Strong shirt today at Disney Hollywood Studios. Be careful. Hopefully he wasn't tackled for wearing that, right, Ron? I mean, apparently they got police there, and they're pulling guns on people saying, hey, you can't wear that shirt because it's copyright.
Yeah, take that hammered shirt off.
They go, dude, strip down, right? But in all seriousness, like, he's in front of one of the Star Wars people are going to kill me. One of the Star Wars from the Arctic things, those big robot things, right? I don't know what they're called. I'm sorry, Arctic something. But I always like when people do that kind of stuff, and I encourage people to do it because not only does it show people like, oh, wow, that's a cool shirt, I want to order that shirt too, but it's kind of a unique experience to be able to say, hey, I got this shirt on, this truck's in front of me or whatnot. And I did that with Crew Cut, on Scrapin the Coast 2018, and I just love doing that shit, man, and I encourage other people to do it.
Yeah, no, that's another point that you bring up. Like, I've gotten text messages from some people before that is just like, look what truck I found, and it's like, maybe it's Pascal's Ranger, and somebody's wearing the goat shirt that we did, and it's like they're standing there, somebody took a picture, and the truck's kind of in the background. Those are always killer shots.
Yeah, man, and they just make for good conversation, or it helps, to your point, you got a small business like Ron Perkins and Hammered. It helps those businesses grow because I know you've gotten some cool orders before, and you sometimes want to kind of say, man, how did so-and-so find out about it? But social media and that, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, there's a big cult following there with a lot of people, and they're like, oh, wow, I want to check that out. So pretty cool. Now, we're getting ready to turn the clock into, the second half of 2019, which I have a hard time even saying that because I'm like, damn, where's time gone? Any hints? No specifics. I know that, but like, if you were to sum up, what's the pedal going to be like for the second half of 2019? Any insight or anything else you want to kind of share?
Yeah, something I'm really excited about is actually what Eric is working on. I think around the end of this month or the beginning of June, he's got me down for 2 more. I think you hooked me up with a guy. You know what I'm talking about? That one's coming out. That's the artwork they're working on. I'm super excited about that because that's going to be, if not the most popular shirt that we've ever came out with, it's going to be damn close because we're going to pay homage to a dear friend, and we're going to bring some new stuff to the table. So it's a little bit of old, a little bit of new, all wrapped up in one shirt. And I think if Eric nails it, it's going to be I'm going to have to order a shitload of shirts for that because I'm super excited. The idea I have in my head is going to be
epic.
That it's going to be epic. Yeah, I'm not really like 100% concerned about the sales, but what I'm concerned about is that people will dig the actual design like I am digging the idea in my head. So I know that one is going to be like on everybody's back, like guaranteed. So be on the lookout for that. I don't know exactly when we're going to release the actual, because like I said, we try to do 2 every 2 months and not get any tighter than that. So if we just drop this one and we're at the end of June, it might be mid-August, maybe early September that we drop that one, but I'm super excited about that. And then we also have another one that's coming out with that I really can't think of any way to give you any kind of subtle hints, but that one's going to be it's going to be a colorful, like, crazy artwork, awesome shirt. I'm super into the artwork, so
yes.
So that's what I get excited about. I get excited when the vehicle owners get excited about their vehicles being featured on a shirt, and I get excited about the artwork when I first get it. It's either like, this is 98% awesome, I need you to change this 2%, and it's done and it's perfect, or it's just perfect when it comes over. So far I've been blessed to work with Eric at Graphic Disorder, and we're on the same page, so it makes it super, super easy.
100%. tell people all the time, Brant at Graphic Disorder, it's easy to do business with them, and they're I know Mike talked with them, I think it was at Mini Nats, where they'll bend over backwards. They've got a few asks with the artwork, but for the most part, like when it's said and done, it's like, hey, do you like it? If you don't, let us know. They tweaked a couple little things on a couple shirts for us, but man, it was like super, super minor. And it was just something that we noticed after the fact. It wasn't based upon the direction that we'd given. We're like, hey, can we do this? Hey, no problem, So I love when companies are easy to do business with, and maybe they stay regimented with their schedule. And if all goes well, we will be there on Friday, Maddie and I, picking up some material that we'll have over at East Tennessee Showdown. So we're stoked about that. But yeah, Ron, it's always great pulling up with you, man, and syncing up. I know the Airhead Nation and just people in the scene in general, when I was at Relaxin, man, like it was, man, you got an army of guys and ladies that really get behind your brand. Like one of the homies, right, was helping you in the booth. And you got a lot of people that respect you, and it's awesome to see that you've built stuff over the years, and now you have a chance to kind of give back with the whole Real Builds hashtag and the Hammered Weekend Wear brand. So, man, keep doing what you do, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and yeah, big shout out to Dustin Jones out there in St. Louis. He's working on a S10 Blazer right now that's coming out pretty awesome. That'll probably be out. I can't really speak for him, but maybe next season. But yeah, he came out and helped work the booth while I had previous engagements for half the day, and then I came out and went to the show. But just the support the continued support from everybody in the Northwest. Even after I moved, it wasn't like I'm out of the Northwest and fuck you guys and I'm off to the Midwest. It was like, they continued to support the business. They continued to support me. And that means it means a lot to me that they continued to support me while I was back in the Midwest. And, and then I built great relationships with people in the Midwest and all the way, up into Indiana, down into Texas, and as far as North Carolina. When we went to Mini Nats, we got to do a lot of neat stuff and meet a lot of cool people. And now that we're back home, it's really flattering that everybody still supports the business and supports me. And I owe a good majority of my success to the Pacific Northwest, who's always had my back. So it's really awesome and humbling, and I could never thank everybody enough. But every time you come by the booth, and just slap hands, say hi. I tell people all the time, like, come by the booth and see me, because I'm not going to be able to get out. Like, you don't have to buy anything. I'm not telling you, hey, come to the booth and buy something. I'm telling you, like, come over, have a beer, like, hang out. Like, I can't really leave the booth. If you want to buy a shirt or a sticker or a hat, great. If not, cool. Like, just come over and say what's up. And a lot of people do. So it's really great. And like I said, I appreciate all the good times that I had in the Midwest and the shows I was able to do and tons of memories, and it was killer. And hopefully I'll make it back soon. We actually, on that same track, we actually just signed on to do our yearly LST trip. So I'm super excited about that. I was kind of worried that, being in St. Louis, it was a 16-hour drive, and that's not super terrible. But, when I moved back here, I was looking at the map, it was 36 hours, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And I finally beat myself up for a couple days, and it was like, I have to do this. Like, some of the greatest times that I've ever had have been at LST. So, I want to get out there. I got a hold of Christine and Jared, and they were ready to accept me back. So that was really cool. And yeah, we're locked into LST 2020. So anybody that we've missed from the Midwest, hopefully you can make it to LST and come out and see us, and come get hammered with us.
Hell, so yeah, brother. I'd encourage everyone, LoneStarThrowdown.com. Follow, you probably already are, Lone Star Throwdown on Instagram. And just know that February 21st through the 23rd of 2020 is the show. That's the same weekend that it typically is. And once that registration opens up on our LoneStarThrowdown.com, you best believe it's going to sell out pretty quick. I think they still cap it at 2K, but it's insane the amount of foot traffic they have there, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. The whole show is bananas, and like I said, like, occasionally I have some friends down there in Houston that come by the booth and they're like, "Hey, let's take over for a minute," and you can go see the show, which is super awesome. So we, get out, explore the show as fast as we can, get back to the booth. I mean, if you've been by the Hammered booth at LST, it's always jam packed with people. Like, we appreciate you hanging out and waiting your turn. And then again, if you have been there before, you know exactly where the booth is. We're not changing our spot. They always give us the same spot, which we really love. And I told Jared like 3 years ago, I'm like, if I could reserve this spot forever, just make sure Hammered's in this spot. And that's not going to change, whether we're in Oregon or Florida or in Missouri. Like, no matter where we move, like, we'll be at LST.
Hells yeah, man, they're great people, and they keep the pedal stomped, and they've built a great brand for themselves, and just good stuff overall. I did want to also I think we gave Dustin a shout out before, but it's bearded, BEARDED _ mini trucker. I know Mike mentioned recently that Justin, he may have mentioned this to me when I was up there too, about becoming a barber and taking care of people. He loves mini trucks and stuff. So go out there, give him a follow. He's got some cool photos on there of some of his customers and whatnot. But good dude overall, Dustin Jones.
Yeah, and a small fact about Dustin, he's actually from the Northwest. He I want to say he was up in the Seattle, Washington area before he moved to Missouri. So he found his spot there, and he's in Barba College now, and still mini trucking on the side. So he's a great dude. Give him a follow.
Fuck yeah, brother. Hey, last thing, right? So the other day we were texting, and you sent a photo. It seemed like maybe you listened to the Goonies episode recently. Tell me that was right out. I mean, that looks like where it was filmed, man.
Yeah, it was. I had a free weekend, and so I wanted to take my dog Fitz down to the beach because he's never been there. He's a Missouri dog, and we brought him to Oregon from Missouri, and we rescued him in that small town of Gerald that we lived in, and so he'd never been to the ocean, and I was kind of wondering how he would like react to it, and so I took him down to the beach, and he was a little scared of the water and the way that the tide was coming in, but we ran up and down the beach for hours. And we were actually at Cannon Beach. And if you remember, when One Eye Willie's ship comes out at the end, that is where they filmed it, was at Cannon Beach. And that's right where we were. And Astoria, where they filmed it, is up 101 to the north side of Oregon a ways, but yeah, it's always fun going down to the beach. It was a beautiful day, and that's one of the major things that I missed about the West Coast was that the beach trips were few and far between. I haven't seen the ocean in 5 years, so I was like itching to get back. It was great.
Well, I'm hoping, my fingers are crossed. Been talking to Maddie a little bit, talking with you, talking to the homie Ryan. Really going to try to make the show up that way. We're going to be talking about it here on the next episode with the Awakening, Relaxin in the Northwest. And I'd encourage anybody out there to, if you're looking to kind of get out and see some awesome scenery, man, Oregon's a beautiful state from what I understand. No, you can't pump your own gas from what I understand. But there's also, right. Is it true there's no tax? Like people drive into, do they drive into Oregon to buy clothes because there's no tax? Or do I have that backwards?
No, there's no tax here. But I mean, people drive here for like major purchases like refrigerators and washer dryers, like that kind of shit. But yeah, there's no tax, but you can't pump your own gas. So
I know. So I'm like, all right, man, it's a good trade-off. So if we come up there, Maddie's like, man, I need you to bring me back like 10 suitcases of clothes, man, all this. I'm like, nah, I'm just messing around. But,
you'd spend more in airplane extra baggage shit than you would save.
Yeah, if I flew Allegiant, I'd be like $500.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Well, get out there. Follow HammerDWeekendWear, HammerD Weekendwear on Instagram and Facebook. There's a lot of content that's out there, but if you visit the website, get out there, order some stuff, and Ron, stay on the rise, my friend.
Yeah, you bet. And one last quick thing, like if you're looking for a good 3-day show, that Relaxin in the Northwest, that's the next show that we're going to be at. The atmosphere is like no other, and it's we get people coming from. I think it was last year or the year before. We had a guy come out from Arkansas, but people from California, Washington, Idaho, a lot of people from Idaho will actually come in to Oregon a couple days earlier. They'll go to the coast like we were talking about, and then they'll do the show, and then they'll go back home. But Nevada, Arizona, like the whole West Coast kind of congregates to the show. And like I think you guys were talking about on the podcast before, Frank's vlog, he always does a vlog, and Brian from Grinder comes up, and it's if you don't take my word for it, like check out Frank's vlog and Grinder TV and watch some of the videos and see what you're missing, and you'll be booking a plane ticket, or you'll be throwing your truck on a trailer, or you'll be driving your truck up. I guarantee it.
Yeah, 100%, and I'll second that and just say if you go on YouTube and type in the Awakening mini truck, that's it. You're going to see whether it be Custom Life, to your point, Grinder TV, and a few others, man. There's a good handful of, almost a dozen videos out there. So there's some cool stuff, a lot from Custom Life as well as Grinder. But get out there, check it out, and like Ron said, don't take our word for it. You're going to see the photos and videos, and you're like, damn, dude, I got to go. So get out there, support the scene. That's important. Support some of the vendors, especially HammerDWeekendWear, and, just keep the pedal stomped, y'all.
Yes, sir.
No sleep till Oregon.
Right, there you go.
All right, Ron. Well, we appreciate you, man, and let's sync up again soon, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you and all of Airhead Nation and all the support over the years. It's been a fun ride, and let's keep going.
You know it, brother. We got you. Keep the pedal stomped. Yo, and as I mentioned, we've got Justin Rainwater from Relaxin in the Northwest, The Awakening. What's going down, our friend?
Not much, buddy. Just sitting here enjoying some nice Louisiana weather before I head home to finish all the final stuff for the show coming up here in, I think it's 29 days.
Hey, man. Well, so here's the funny thing. You got to kind of explain. I know the show's coming up, but, dude, you're like a West Coast guy. So How are you over in Louisiana?
Oh, it's definitely a different atmosphere over here, to say the least, man. I mean, temperature's different, humidity's different. I'm definitely ready to get home to my West Coast weather and get ready to see everybody's smiling face come rolling through the big red gates here at the end of the month.
Yeah, brother, it's going to be a pretty cool show. I know, like, we had you on last year. We talked a little bit about it, but I'm really excited about it. Mike and I have been telling the listeners, go out there and watch Frank from the Custom Life vlog. I mean, dude, he does a fantastic job, so we'll hit on that a little bit. But, for the casual listener, or maybe someone from the East Coast that maybe started listening recently, why don't you give us kind of a breakdown of, again, the show name, the dates, some of the high-level information is what I call it.
Yeah. So what we've done is we've all born and raised mini truckers. We were around for the three-day truck run style shows. So we all got together 3 years ago after doing a one-day show for 8 years and decided, let's do a 3-day truck run and have a car show on Saturday. So that's what we've been able to do as far as the atmosphere of the show is we have early roll-in on Thursday. You camp out Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. We've got games. We've got events. We've got all the normal old-school truck run feeling stuff that we've been able to capture and start bringing back to the West Coast, and it's just turning out awesome. I mean, it makes us excited every year to see what comes up and what actually takes place every year at the show as far as the atmosphere that we have there.
Well, if I tell all the listeners, go out on Instagram, it's Relaxin in the NW is the official handle, and then of course you'll see there the dates and some of the information that Jay just covered. But I love the word atmosphere. And I think when a lot of people go, we hear people, there's no more shows. Man, I remember when, such and such old school show, was popping off and whatnot. But when I watch the videos from the show the last few years, that word that you just used a moment ago, atmosphere, there really was an old school West Coast, I don't want to say river run, but it was like kind of just a truck run feel to it.
Yeah, there is. I mean, we have a lot of clubs that support us on it that have for years. I mean, you've got Friday night, you've got everybody just cruising around, cruising through the fairgrounds, cruising through the camps. stopping, chatting with people, everybody kind of meeting up here and there. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain until you actually travel out and experience yourself if you've never actually been to the truck run stuff. And if you have, then it's definitely worth the trip to come out and get that feeling back in you that this is how I remember mini trucking and truck runs used to be.
Well, I tell anybody, if you're a new school mini trucker and you can make it, or you're old school, get up there. Whether you're going to take a train, plane, automobile, truck, whatever you're going to get there, if you just Google Relaxin in the Northwest, The Awakening, you will see, everything from the OregonStateExpo.org, their event page. You'll see the various videos from Grinder TV, Frank's vlog, you name it. But talk to us a little bit about, some guys from the East Coast might be like, hey, okay, it's a West Coast show. What would you say is different, right? Especially with this kind of quote-unquote camping event. It's got to be a little bit different pricing, I would think, when you got a crew, you got a vehicle cruising in with a load full of the chicas and the homies, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. So what we did is we wanted to try to go old school as much as we could as far as even pricing. So we took the last couple of years, we kind of calculated everything up and went, okay, what can we do to make sure that this is a sought-after event to go to? So is what we've done is we've changed our whole pricing regimen around to where now it's simple. It's $30 a person, $10 a vehicle to get in. And that gets you in from Friday morning all the way till Sunday at the end of the day when the awards and everything are there. We don't have an extra charge for a car trailer. There is an extra RV charge if you want to hook up to power, because we have power accessible for RVs there. So, there's an extra charge for that for the weekend of $50. But for the most part, if you were to, roll up from the East Coast and it was you and 3 of your homies in the rig, then, it's, $30 a piece, then just $10 for your vehicle. So you're $100 and you're in the show for the whole weekend.
I love it, man. One thing that we try to hit on when we talk about shows is when you go to a show like this, it's kind of unique. And, Ron sent me a photo the other day, and the listeners will hear when I talk with Ron, I brought this up. He was over on the coast where I think they had filmed the Goonies movie, right? But there's got to be a few other things within kind of a stone's throw distance where people could maybe go and venture out, like if they get in Thursday or Friday early. And I know it's a longer show, but what are a couple of those things that maybe some people could do that come to mind?
So there's like where they filmed the Goonies. There's where they filmed Kindergarten Cop there in Astoria, Oregon. So there's the Oregon coast, which is gorgeous. If you're traveling in from the East Coast, there's Crater Lake National Park that's on the way, which is actually one of the 7 wonders of the world that you can swing by and see. There's, Mount Hood. There's, just the scenery coming into the show is like no other. You've got big mountain ranges, lakes. You'll have snow-filled mountains still when we come in just because the elevation is so high. And if you want to shoot the rest of the way past it, you can shoot right past the show an hour, and you're on the Oregon coast, and you can adventure. Breweries. Like I said, where they film Goonies is there. There's just a lot of just random stuff to do while you're there.
Well, I tell people go out on Google Maps and you can search there, Salem, Oregon. You're going to see just north of there is Beaverton, where I think Nike's at. You got Portland north of there, Albany, Eugene's south, of course. And then you've got even kind of Olympia that's, a ways up there towards Tacoma and Seattle. But it's a place that I've never been to in the U.S., and I'm looking forward to, if all the stars align, OLP will be out there repping, and we're excited about the show.
Oh, yeah, we would be ecstatic to have you out there to see what it's all about and then actually experience it out there. And like you said, there is just a little bit north. There's Beaverton, so there's Nike Town. And then there's Portland, Oregon, that's home of the famous Voodoo Donuts, where everything great comes in a pink box. They've got amazing donuts there. There's breweries, more than you can shake a stick at as far as breweries for craft beers. It's not really just a destination to show up and hang out for a weekend with a car show. It's something you can actually plan like a little vacation around, and you can go do some other adventuring and some other fun, and then just come add the car show into it.
Well, what I think is awesome is we're giving the listeners out there an opportunity. It's give or take, by the time you hear this audio, it's going to be about 4 weeks away. And if you've got some time, you can make a long weekend, or you're like, damn, I haven't taken a vacation in a while, and you can get up to the area. You definitely want to come up. Now, what are some of the main questions that I know you're one of the key guys, right, for this show, and give us an idea, because sometimes we do these interviews and we spotlight a show, and we don't hit upon some of the things that like the average guy is asking. Like, what are the type of questions you guys have been getting around a show like this?
Lately, the main question is just about, if I show up with a vehicle, a pickup, and a show vehicle and myself, what's my cost? That's basically been our main fielded questions, which has been amazing. But, we get random questions as far as, what's the closest hotel? Well, this is a closed private camping event, and if somebody wants to camp out, that's fine. And if they want to stay at a hotel, that's their leisure also. I mean, so we get those questions quite a bit. We kind of get the questions about what kind of activities are going to go on at the show as far as stuff to do. We have a member out of Washington named CJ Sylvie that he runs our games and our club events for the show. And every year he doesn't disappoint with an entire day full of club activities. And it's just, it makes the day go by awesome. Cause like last year we had, a wing eating contest, and I think we had something called, something to do with nuts and bolts covered in grease, and it was something like slippery nuts or something that you had to do, and a bunch of other stuff. And then he changes it every year. So like this year, we have been talking about bringing some old school stuff back, like possibly the limbo, possibly some of that older truck run style stuff that really takes it back to where, okay, this is what I remember cruising around in a tandem axle Toyota with the fucking canopy open and, my speakers blaring.
Hells yeah, brother. Yeah, like the real old school. I like that.
Yeah. And then one of the things that we've actually focused on as far as camping wise is we do a best campsite trophy. Like last year, when we had the same club win it 2 years in a row, and it was Twisted Creations out of Washington. And the first year they set their entire camp up like a retirement community, and they are very, specific on their t-shirt colors and everything. And they actually went out of their way to change their t-shirt colors for the day of the show for their campsite. And they won that year. And then the second year they came back, they set their entire camp up like the TV show MASH. Camo all the way around. They go all out, and they just do a great job of it. So we're waiting to see what kind of shows up this year to see if somebody can take the title, or if they're going to go 3 years in a row for best campsite.
That's killer, dude. That's something I haven't really heard of someone doing, and I love the idea.
Oh, it's an awesome idea because it sets up the entire state fairgrounds for different, just kind of like different visual stuff. Like you just don't see a bunch of tents and vehicles passed around. Like, I think last year Freaks of Nature did like a tiki setup or something. They did a great job with their campsite, and everybody partakes in it. But there's just like I said, Twisted they plan all year for this, and they've taken the title every year. So I'm looking forward to see who shows up to actually set up their camp and walk away with the title this year.
Yeah, that's going to be huge, man. And I know it's one of those things. I remember years ago, like at the Forbidden Show, was always like the lowest club, right, with the most body drops. That was a big thing that people really kind of went away and was like, damn, we won it this year, as a club. So it's cool to see the camaraderie from the different clubs and the people that kind of get together to do that kind of thing, right?
Oh, yeah, and for sure. And our trophies for that specific thing, we base on something that they can use throughout the year at other shows. So, like, the first year, it was a really bitchin' white metal Coleman cooler that was all pinstriped up. Second year was a Coleman portable barbecue that was all pinstriped up, Relaxin Northwest Best Campsite. Well, this year, we had one of the big oversized Jenga games. All all wood lasered or whatever. They do that. All the pieces are all marked Relaxin Northwest Best Campsite and all that stuff, and it comes with a carrying bag and the whole 9 yards. So trophy wise for that, every year we do something that they can use all year.
That's that's rad, dude. There's no other way to put it. Talk to us a little bit about the show shirts, right? So what comes to memory is there's some tie-in to the shirts, and I've seen some of the artwork. So talk to us a little bit about what you guys got up your sleeve for this year.
So this year we always try to showcase something in Oregon in our show shirts. So this year, as you pull into the state fairgrounds, the one thing that's at the state fairgrounds that everybody knows about's been there is they have an overhead
ski lift type thing.
Yeah, but we don't use that because it's just liability wise and stuff. We've never been able to lock it in, but it's there, so it's a known icon for being there. So we try to have that in there. And this year, when you pull in, there's this huge metal artwork structure right kind of in the middle of the fairgrounds. So when you pull into the show, that's one of the first things you see is this huge monstrosity, like 40 feet tall metal artwork structure. So we incorporated that in there this year, and Fuel Market did an awesome job on our artwork like they do every year. And then, of course, we went with an older mini style, like 720, and then a nice little C10 to tie everything together as far as, that mini truck show feeling and kind of the older style artwork as far as colorful and bright and just detailed.
Hells yeah, brother. I think it's going to be an awesome show. I know you've got some real good heavy hitters for show coverage. So talk to us about, someone that might be newer to the scene. They're like, I want to get my truck in a magazine. Who are some of the heavy hitters that you guys have covering from a media standpoint, from a print or online media?
Print and online media, we've got Street Trucks, of course. We've got Time Lows there, like Gauge Magazine's there, Street Trucks, Truck Trends Japan, Trucking Magazine, Common Threads, TruckRun.net, Grinder TV, All Time Low, Lowrider Depot. I mean, that's just some of them, to say the least, of who we have there. Auto Revolution, they're one that'll be there. SoCalCustoms.com. They've got show coverage for us as far as print or media, as far as online coverage. And yeah, everybody that actually shows up for media coverage does an amazing job for us. And they have all the way since we were a one-day show.
That's killer, bro. Yeah, so you got all the heavy hitters out there. I know that the show is going to be awesome. And over the next few weeks, we'd like to highlight any key updates that you have. I would highly encourage folks out there. Like I said, it's simple. If you just go on Google or whatever you use for your browser, just go out there and search Relaxin in the NW, The Awakening, all together, or click the link in the bio, or search that on Facebook, and you're going to land on the main key information. Now, why don't you give a shout out to maybe some of the folks that are helping, that are like the key players that help? I know you got a team behind you, and then any of the key sponsors. You know what I mean?
Our Northwest chapter of Relaxed Atmosphere, I couldn't ask for a better chapter. I mean, we've got, we're all spread out throughout Oregon and Washington and Idaho, but I mean, everybody does an amazing job. We've got Ryan Anderson that takes care of a lot of our business for us and make sure that we keep on the right path. Eric Self, John Brock, CJ Sylvie, Dougie Heck, Ron, of course. I can't really just single any one of them out because they all do such an amazing job every year, making sure that all of us do a great job at the show.
Well, I know it's a group effort. I think any good show promoter or team or club will say that, and it's great to hear what you're saying. I know that the show is going to be great. I know that, as we always say, the minis are on the rise, and I think we're going to see some cool minis there, as we did with some of Frank's previous vlog coverage. I'm super stoked for the event in general. I know it's like kicking off the summer. We just celebrated Goonies Day. We talked about it on June 7th, I think it was. So I'm really looking forward to getting up in that area. So hopefully everything works out on my end. But, man, Jay, is there anything else you want to share with the Airhead Nation before we conclude, brother?
Not that I can think of. I'm looking forward to, anybody that's been there knows the iconic saying, we're looking forward to seeing everybody coming through the big red gates, because that's what you drive through coming into fairgrounds, is a big set of red gates. So, we just look forward to unlocking those and opening them up and every year we don't get disappointed with what rolls through that gate. It just gets better and better every year. And we owe everything that we work on all year to the support from all the show goers that actually come and spend the weekend with us. So, ultimately that all the thanks and everything that we do and the reason why we do this is because of them.
Rock on, dude. What a good message, brother.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, man. So everybody get out there, get your thumbs going on Instagram, Relaxin the NW. Big ups, man, to what you guys are doing. The scene is thriving 100 miles an hour. And if it wasn't for people like you putting on a show, we wouldn't have these awesome topics to talk about or show coverage to flip through in Street Trucks, All Time Low magazine, and many, many others. So, thanks again for what you guys do. And let's continue to chat over the next few weeks, man, as we get closer.
Yeah, we definitely will for sure. And we can't thank you enough for the support that you give the entire scene throughout the United States and taking time to give us a little bit of your time also to help us get our stuff out there.
Hells yeah, man. We got to support one another, and that's how the scene stays on the rise.
Exactly. I agree.
Awesome, brother. Well, we will keep in contact. We know that you will as well. And safe travels. I know you're kind of you're finishing up a job there that you've been working on for a while in Louisiana. But as you and potentially your family travels back, man, stay safe, brother.
Oh, we will, and I appreciate it very much, buddy.
Yes, sir. Be good, brother.
All right.
Yo, it's ODB, and there you have it, episode 133. Thank you to all the contributors, Damien Davis from All Time Low magazine, Riggedy Ron Perkins, and Justin Rainwater, representing Relaxin in the Northwest, The Awakening. Now, I do have one last update. It does appear that the magazines did arrive from All Time Low magazine over at Rich and Beth's compound, so they will be getting those bagged up and those sent out ASAP. So, don't forget, atlmagazine.com. You want to make sure you do the subscription. Of course, you can buy individual issues if you want to check it out first, but just know you're supporting the cause and great people. Get out there, do the subscription. That way, you automatically receive those issues when they're printed. Stay on the rise, and hopefully we will see many of you guys at East Tennessee Showdown, and the following month, we'll see you at Relaxin in the Northwest, The Awakening. ODB, we got you. Peace.
Midnight love. Midnight love. Midnight love. Midnight love. Midnight love.
Yeah, like that.
12 o'clock's gonna be nice. Midnight love.
Some of that shit that make niggas drink.
Your back door open.
Make bitches think.
Midnight love.
Help you check your fat ass
Just
bank.
have it ready for me.
Lord, you give me a pleasure, nigga.
Back door, little Joe, he's coming for you.
Feel me?
I'm barely standing and puff my second hand, say it's midnight. Some Alizé and Cristal, guaranteed to get right. Like it's the meaning, just a small thing. With DJ quick in this bitch, I let my ball bag running through the street light. Cause we like, young nigga, get your mob on, show 'em what a G like. Around the corner, it's like Vegas, or better yet, like Reno. Niggas poppin', walkin' through our casino. Cause you and me know, 100% like casino. Looking for a bitch that's half black and Filipino. And when I meet her, I'm on some windows. I'm kissing out the window of a pearl white limo. Don't wanna be your man, I'm your nigga. Touch me here, I get bigger while I'm digging. I get deeper to your liver. I'm getting tight. The fucking bitches in the same night. My words are aphrodisiacs, if you say I'm right. That's when we poppin', so I'm dropping at the fat burger. Look through the paper, it's another black crack murder. The city's full of surprises. You can live or you can die. You can fuck on the first night, or drop in the late night.
12 o'clock's gonna be nice. Midnight love. Leave your back door open. Midnight love. Just have it ready for me. Back door, little Joe, he's coming for you.
Now that my nigga pockets out, I'm gonna have to hit him. Swoop him up in the coupe, with the windows tinted. Wait a minute, nigga, you got the bud, I got the Henny. Don't worry about the pussy, cause it's plenty. Now in the city of LA, I'm a mayor to the players, sway to the gators. Millionaires, baby, no haters. Now we up in the mix from 90
door open, midnight love. Just have it ready for me. Back door, little Joe, he's coming for you.
At the top of my treehouse, I'm running out of beats, so I gotta get down and be out. Now on my way to the stove, I see bitches galore that say they never ever been to a studio before. Now this a golden opportunity for me to get told. I got work to be done and bitches to flow. One say she Nicki with 2 K's, I'm thinking with 2 balls, and all we need is him to set it off. Now gone are the days of my horny and rugged adolescence. Fucking bitches with no rubbers today is a lesson. Now we stop to get lifestyles because I'm a gent. Yo, what's your flavor, baby? Hope it's nutty peppermint. Fucking bitches on a weekly basis, I'm loving the play. But tell me why it always seem to turn out this way. She be alright when you meet her, fine when you're drunk and fucking, and ugly as hell the next day.
What you say?
Now, in 96, this is how it's going down. Players like Tupac and AMG up, and them hold down. And baddies, no need to feel sorrow. Just tune in, same back channel tomorrow. But in the
Midnight love, 12 o'clock's gonna be nice. Midnight love, leave your back door open. Midnight love, just have it ready for me. Back door, little Joe, he's coming for you.
Now it's all about the dollars and dollars that bounce. Having cars and bitches having a proper amount. $250,000 chillin', robbing banks and many mortgage sunlight when dark hits. We all get it started, go hard and year round. My life won't change for the good. It seems soon as I walk up the door, I'm called by the hood. Dads, would you come and ride for me? Hey yo, dad, we the soldier, would you die for me? The hood tradition got a lot of niggas killed for dumb shit. The OGs think they run shit, the youngsters control shit. Every minute I be loaded high as a kite. Decided with the drama with a dog fight, street fight. Ain't allowed in my book no more. Problems get solved and revolve with ammo in a fofo. For sure I get the record blast 5 times. 254 cents per jam.
Gunshots are shown, Lord damn for blow. Niggas are low, pursuing more hoes, they go home, but like a California store. And when you see me in the drop top tag, how many niggas wanna be? Game is automatic, mandatory. I sell to live and die survive. But with a story to tell, cause when you get the some bitches, watch the dumb bitches that had you labeled a rich before you get the dumb bitches. It's a mean world, nigga, you strapped with being thrown away. Will I survive the late night? This is golden day. Nobody knows me, I'm a shadow. My army fatigue's made for battle. Pockets full of ammo, cause when I'm out in the streets, I'm on point with a static. Too many done died, it's in my eyes, so now we automatic. I disappear whenever heated, rob whenever needed. For my niggas up in Clayton getting beaten. Continue to roll until I'm old, ride until I die. Supply long as you motherfuckers die. My homies roll by in the bucket, but they ain't sure to duck the type of niggas don't tell them bitches.
Midnight love.